No one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. We got the right stuff. We put the hammer right down. Wanna be like us? You better stick around. If you want it, you gotta prove it. Like we do it, like we do it.
WWE was in Salt Lake City, Utah tonight. Doing not one but two SmackDowns because next weekend they're going to be in Perth for the Elimination Chamber. And so they have to tape SmackDown for next Friday tonight. But on the live show tonight, it was all about The Rock and Roman Reigns. They announced that both of them would be on SmackDown this week. What would they do? What would they say? Triple H taking shots at The Rock, clearly, last week on the show. Would we have a face-to-face confrontation between them tonight? Unfortunately, the answer was no. So we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Now, they don't have to give everything away all at once. I get that. But it was a little disappointing that we didn't get any follow-up at all to the comments that Triple H made about Rock last week. Question was, what kind of Rock would we get on the show tonight? And if you were hoping for a modern version of Hollywood Rock, I think we got that tonight. Rock was out there tonight playing the hits. He came out there in his $1,000 Versace vest, just like he used to walk out there in his $500 silk shirts. It was like 1998 all over again. Only Rock is twice the size that he was back then. But he came out there tonight. It was like a trip down memory lane. Heel Rock is fun to watch because it's been so long since we've seen it. We haven't gotten heel Rock since 2003. It's been over 2 decades. So it was nice to get a different version of The Rock that wasn't just pandering to the audience and didn't come out and do the exact same thing he did with Austin Theory and with Jinder Mahal and, leading the crowd in the same old chants. At least it was something different because it's been a while since we've seen it. The problem is, that's exactly what it felt like. Watching this promo tonight that The Rock cut at the end of SmackDown felt like he was out there trying very hard to just play the hits. He was hitting all the old notes. He was using the same insults. I will say, it was funny to have him out there healing it up on the Utah crowd and making fun of their 50 wives and their 600 grandchildren. They seemed to get a kick out of it too. I found that to be very entertaining. But he also was using sports analogies to talk about Cody Rhodes wanting to finish his story and talking about how it doesn't make sense that Cody would want to come out here and he would want a rematch. He would just ask for a rematch and expect to be gifted a rematch when he already lost and got beaten last year by Roman Reigns. And I thought to myself, boy, that makes one of several things in this story that doesn't make sense. It's kind of par for the course with this storyline so far. There's a lot of shit that hasn't made sense. I could think of a segment just a few weeks ago on this television show involving Rock that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And it's very clear at this point, we ain't never going to get an explanation for what happened there. So you could take that segment from SmackDown a few weeks ago and you could put it in the same file folder with the lockbox. Remember the lockbox from WrestleMania, what was it, WrestleMania 32? Yeah, you could put it in there with that and all the other storylines that we never got any solution for. So the fact that Rock was out there using certain analogies that didn't really make a whole lot of sense, honestly, it kind of fits the theme of where things have gone so far in this storyline. I'm glad that Rock came to his senses, though. He was out there tonight talking about the Cody crybabies. He was talking about them tweeting their little fingers away, talking about we want Cody and how the fans missed out on what I believe he believes in his mind would have been the biggest match and the biggest main event in WrestleMania history. Business-wise, he's probably right, because business has never been hotter. And now you bring back a big celebrity like The Rock and he faces Roman Reigns and you would have done big box office. They're going to do perfectly fine this year, even without that match. But he's out there talking about this, and you know that on some level, deep down inside, what he was saying out there in that segment is how he really feels. Because when he decided to come back and do this match with Roman Reigns, which we are now not getting at WrestleMania this year, he thought in his mind that this was going to be the biggest match in WrestleMania history, and he was ready for it to be Roman Reigns and The Rock, the bloodline, right? Who's the head of the table? Who's the real tribal chief? That's what he was expecting. That's what he was planning on. What he wasn't planning on, what the company wasn't planning on when they should have been, was the backlash that they would get after Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble and stepped aside. And so now he's decided, okay, he could read the tea leaves here, and he realizes, look, if we go through with this match, these people are going to fuck up the entire thing. So let's just roll with the punches here. And so now he's a heel. But you know, when he's out there talking about the Cody crybabies being a bunch of little bitches, and you ruined it, you had it in the palm of your head, and you just, it's like snatching, you have a victory and you have defeat, and they're snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. It was right there for the taking, and you people ruined it. You know that on some level, he honestly believes that. That was a work shoot, is what that was. But he was out there talking about all this stuff. And the one thing that I noticed again tonight, and I noticed this at Las Vegas when they had the event last week. So this is the second straight time that we have seen this now. And I think it's something that you need to be careful going forward. Now, I know Rock is a big star, and there's really nothing you can do about that. When he's out there, there's a certain aura that he has, a certain magnetism, right? He's a big star. Everybody knows who The Rock is, right? You can't avoid it. The problem is in Las Vegas, Roman Reigns is the undisputed champion. Roman Reigns has not been pinned in a singles match. He has not been beaten for that title in over 3 years. He is the very definition of a final boss in this company. And yet, it took 5 minutes for him standing on that stage last week with Roman Reigns to look like little brother. He was a complete afterthought. Tonight, I had the same feeling when this segment was over. Roman Reigns came out first, The Rock got the second entrance, and The Rock spent the entire segment basically cutting a promo while Roman stood to the side. And then at the end, they all threw their fingers up in the air as one united front. But when it was over, I had the same feeling. I said, man, Roman Reigns is the champion going into WrestleMania, and he feels like a complete afterthought here. So whatever they're going to end up doing, I don't know what role ultimately Rock is going to have at WrestleMania. Is he going to wrestle? Is there going to be a tag match? Is he going to be a referee? I mean, there's any number of scenarios that could still play itself out. They gave us no clarity on the show tonight about what The Rock is going to be doing at WrestleMania. He talked about, I'm going to make sure I do everything in my power to make sure that Cody Rhodes is not the champion. So obviously he's teasing that he's going to abuse his power as a member of the board. What does that mean? Is he going to be throwing obstacles in Cody's path for the next 6 weeks on TV? Trying to soften him up for his cousin? Is he going to be a referee for the title match at WrestleMania? Will we get a tag team match on night one where Rock gets to wrestle with Roman against Seth and Cody? Are we going to get Rock and Cody on night one? That seems very unlikely, but there's any number of scenarios that are in play here. But he was very clear here in his promo that he is going to do everything in his power to make sure that Cody does not leave WrestleMania as the champion. Will he make himself available on more television shows between now and WrestleMania? I hope so. I hope it's not going to be a situation where we see him twice, and that's it. If you're going to lean into heel Rock, lean into heel Rock. But what I'd like to see going forward is him maybe change it up a little bit. Maybe offer something a little bit new instead of just the same tired insults over and over again. I got a kick out of the promo tonight. I could see this getting old very fast. And he just sucks up all the oxygen in the room. That's what makes me worried about the story being Cody and Roman. I don't want anything to detract from that, right? This is the story that they have been building to now for the past year, ever since Cody got screwed last year. They had a pivot in a different direction. Great. Rock is still going to be a part of this, though. Even if he's not wrestling, he's still going to be part of this story. And they could very easily play it in a way where he overshadows everything. That's not what I want to see. But again, it was the right move. I'm glad that he came to his senses and he can talk about the Cody crybabies all he wants to, and I know there's a decent amount of people out there who agree with what he said on the show tonight. Rock is right. All the Cody crybabies ruined. Oh, the Cody crybabies, they ruined the match. You're going to get Rock and Roman at some point. You're probably going to get it next year. The match is going to happen. It's not going to happen this year because guess what? It's not the time for that match to happen this year. That time will come. Right now, it's time for Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns to have their rematch at WrestleMania. So it's just funny to me how the people making fun of the Cody fans and saying Rock is absolutely right in what he is saying, and it's Cody crybabies. I'm seeing just as many crybabies on the Rock side as I am on the Cody side. For all the people saying Cody crybabies, I'm seeing just as many on the other side go, oh, it should be the Rock in there with Roman Reigns. Oh, you Cody fans, you ruined it. You ruined it. Deal with it. It was the right move to make. Now, that was not the only thing that happened on the show tonight. We'll get more in-depth about this segment and what Rock said and my feelings coming out of it a little bit later on here in the review. But we also had a night full of qualifying matches for the Elimination Chamber, which completely feels like an afterthought at this point. But I will say that the 2 chamber matches and the lineups that we have for it are pretty damn stacked. You look at the men's side, and as you can see right there, our men's field for the Elimination Chamber has been completed. It is going to be Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, LA Knight, Kevin Owens, and Logan Paul. Those are the 6 men that will be fighting for the right to challenge Seth Rollins. I'm not going to call him Freakin' because I still think it's stupid that that's become this guy's nickname, but who will challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania? It will be one of these 6 men. It should be Drew McIntyre. It could be LA Knight. It could be Randy Orton. Bobby Lashley, not a chance. Logan Paul, not going to happen. Kevin Owens, nope. LA Knight, probably not going to happen. Can't rule it out completely. Really, to me, it boils down to either Orton or Drew, and it should be Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is the right man for that spot, but that's a hell of a lineup for an Elimination Chamber match, and I'm sure Logan Paul is going to want to pull something out of his ass, something crazy in that match. But the fact that we are getting Logan Paul and Kevin Owens in the chamber has me wondering if they're going to save the rematch for WrestleMania. Instead of doing LA Knight and Logan Paul, maybe they are going to do Kevin Owens and Logan Paul again at WrestleMania. I hope not. Yeah, we got that match at the Royal Rumble. I feel like you can definitely get a rematch out of it. You could do it on TV. But at WrestleMania, it should be someone like LA Knight. It should be somebody else in there against Logan Paul for that U.S. title. On the women's side, this is what the lineup currently looks like. We still have 1 spot left to fill. But even this lineup so far, you got Becky Lynch, you've got Bianca Belair, you've got Naomi, Liv Morgan, who certainly has a beef with Rhea Ripley and a reason to want to go after her at WrestleMania, and Tiffany Stratton, barely on the main roster for how long? Just 2 weeks maybe? And already she is in the Elimination Chamber match. Who is going to fill that final spot? That we will find out on Raw this Monday because they're going to have a last chance battle royal. Is Jade Cargill going to end up in that battle royal? Hard to imagine that if she does, that she doesn't win and advance to the chamber. But then it begs the question, do they want her to lose? Because I don't see Jade going all the way to WrestleMania to wrestle Rhea Ripley, and she sure as fuck is not ready for that spot yet. So if that's the case, might be better off leaving her out. But there is a brand new member of the SmackDown roster because we've had a bunch of free agents bouncing around on TV. Adam Pearce going after people. Nick Aldis going after people. Braun Breaker is the newest member of the SmackDown roster, and that right there is a huge addition because Braun Breaker is going to headline some WrestleManias of his own in due time. That's a huge pickup for the SmackDown roster, and I like it, and I think it's the right place for him to go. There's a lot of good people on that roster for him to work with. We'll go through all of it here. Honestly, I didn't think this SmackDown was all that great, but we'll talk about it anyway. This is your Friday Night SmackDown review. It is February 16th, 2024. I am the Solomonster.
Do you feel him, sir?
I am feeling him. You bet your ass. I don't know who you're talking about, but I'm feeling him. Absolutely. Hit that subscribe button, and 500 likes is the goal tonight. I upped the goal a little bit, 500. We get 500 thumbs up here on this review. We will do Be the Booker later on. Super Chats are open. You will see them popping up on your screen. I do thank you for the support. I'm going to read through all of your messages. What did you think of this Rock promo tonight? Were you in Rock heaven like it was 1999 all over again? Or were you not a fan of what The Rock had to say tonight? So chime in and let me know. But we had our first of 4 Elimination Chamber qualifying matches here on this show tonight, with Kevin Owens against Dominik Mysterio. Both these men ended up on the floor. R-Truth showed up just as Kevin Owens was in control, and he caused a distraction. Dominik took over at that point with a drop kick through the ropes that Owens did not see coming. He followed up with a slingshot moonsault into the ring for a near fall. Truth was shouting at Dominik, calling him The Miz. Funny to me, The Miz was on the show tonight. Apparently, R-Truth didn't bother to go after him. Miz had an entire match on the show tonight. We didn't see R-Truth out there. But he came out during the opening match thinking that he was R-Truth. And he was asking him, where were you on Monday? Because he didn't have Miz there on Monday to save him. So they went to commercial. Owens made a comeback coming out of the break. He hit the cannonball in the corner. Headed up north, hit a frog splash. Cover followed. Dominik kicked out. Truth was still on the outside watching, standing there at ringside. Dominik, he thwarted a pop-up powerbomb attempt. The 3 amigos followed, or 2 of them. Owens reversed the last one, hit 2 amigos of his own before Dominik reversed out of the last one. Dom missed a frog splash of his own. Owens connected with a swanton bomb, but Dominik kicked out. Owens tried for a stunner. Dom countered with a kick, and then followed up with a 619. Owens got a shoulder up at the very last second on that pin attempt. And then he barked at R-Truth on the outside, Dominik did, to go get him a chair. And R-Truth was very hesitant, and Dominik said, look, you want to be a part of the Judgment Day? Go get me a chair. So reluctantly, Truth went over, he grabbed a chair. But then he opened the chair, and he sat down in the chair. And then he told Dominik, you better turn around. And when Dominik turned around, he turned around right into a super kick. Pop-up powerbomb followed, and Kevin Owens is going to the chamber. As soon as Kevin Owens won this match, I knew exactly who was winning between The Miz and Logan Paul. So that was the one. That was like a dead giveaway as far as who was going over later in the show. And again, we'll see, are they going to save the rematch for the U.S. title at WrestleMania? I hope they do it before then, and we get a fresh opponent for Logan Paul. But this was, again, we had 4 qualifying matches on the show tonight, and this one was, I liked the other one too, but this was the best of the bunch. This was the one I enjoyed the most. Then Drew McIntyre was backstage because it's Elimination Chamber season, and they have the mixed chamber matches, and so there's no brand split restrictions. Anybody can basically be on any show. He was backstage with Kayla Braxton. He said there's only one superstar inside the chamber that needs to win, and that's him, so that he can go on to save the world title. A party on Sparty with a $15 super chat. Thank you, Party. So he was interrupted by LA Knight. And LA Knight told him that you can get your moment stolen, because McIntyre talked about his moment being stolen previously. Said you can get your moment stolen again, this time by me, inside the chamber. McIntyre said, all this bravado. Goes, I see right through you. Hey, Rodimus Prime. Rodimus Prime with the $15 now. Well, you guys like that one, don't you? That's quickly become a favorite. I forgot to point, by the way. There you go. That right there, there's your WrestleMania sign. I always forget to point. But he says, for LA Knight, all this bravado, it comes from a place of insecurity, and he should be insecure, because as much as the fans are behind him now, when the bell rings, that's when they'll turn on you. He said, he warned him, he said, you better produce results and win titles, or else the fans are going to turn against you just like they did to me. He goes, look at me. Look how stacked my resume is, and look what they did to me. So Knight says when he looks at Drew's new t-shirt with the CM Punk tombstone on it, he said there's enough room for one more name next to CM Punk. He can see DM Hunk on there. since Drew called himself that last week. So then officials came over to break him up, and LA Knight said, hey, we're just talking here. We're just talking here. We're just talking here. We're having a conversation. These two are going to have a match on TV next week. It's being taped tonight. The match is already done, but it will air on TV next week. We got footage from earlier today of Roman Reigns arriving at the building. He was in a great mood. It even caught Jimmy Uso off guard when Roman brought him in for the hug. Elsewhere in the back, Kayla was with Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. And Dunne said that things are going great. All that's left to do is for them to walk into Perth, slap the Judgment Day around, and walk out with the undisputed tag team titles. Bate said that we've been doing so well lately that I thought it was time for a name change. And I'm sitting here going, no, I don't think so. That's completely unnecessary. Don't do this. But he said, I've got a new name in mind for our team. He says, New Catch Republic. So they are no longer British Strong Style. New Catch Republic. And Dominik walked up to them and told them to shut up. He said, you can't beat any two members of the Judgment Day. So Bates suggested next week they take on Dom and R-Truth. And then Dominik complained. He said R-Truth is not an official member of the Judgment Day. New Catch Republic. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what was wrong with British Strong Style. There was nothing wrong with that, but whatever. It's fine. We have Pete Dunne back. I'll take the victories where they come. The next qualifying match was for the ladies. It was Zelina Vega taking on SmackDown's newest addition, Tiffany Stratton. Vega took Stratton down on the floor early with a moonsault off the top rope, got back in the ring, and then she looked out and she noticed in the front row Legado del Fantasma and Elektra Lopez. They were sitting right there in the front row, standing, looking up at her. And Elektra was waving at her, or maybe she was waving at us as they cut away to commercial break. The LWO walked out to ringside to back up Zelina during the break. Tiffany avoided a 619, but she ate a DDT instead. Stratton came back with a cartwheel Alabama slam for a near fall. She went up for the prettiest moonsault ever, but Vega knocked her down with a 619 to the shins, and she followed up with a Meteora for a near fall. So the action spilled out of the ring over where Legado was in the front row behind the announcers. And Lopez is talking shit to Vega over the barricade, and so Zelina had enough. And she grabbed Elektra Lopez, she pulled her over the barricade, and then she picked her up and she put her right back over the barricade. So I'm not really sure what the point of that was. She sure showed her, but she took her eye off the ball. And when she went to go climb back into the ring, Stratton kicked her and then dropped her with a spine buster, followed by the prettiest moonsault ever for the win. I've never seen such a pretty moonsault land so ugly in my life. Oh my God. How she didn't kill this woman with this moonsault, I'll never know. I was convinced when I saw that landing and her knees come slamming down on Zelina, I thought she broke her arm. And it just reminded me, I immediately thought of the moonsault that Kurt Angle on SmackDown gave to Bob Holly all those years ago, broke his arm on the landing because he was positioned in such a way that his knees came straight down on the arm. That was the first thought that went through my head. Either a broken arm or broken ribs. Because, man, that was a brutal landing on that moonsault. Little off the mark. You know, it's not the first time that she's been a little bit off the mark with that thing. I mean, that could be deadly. And it really just boils down, because her form is absolutely perfect. I mean, her moonsault is one of the best of anyone right now in wrestling. Her form is excellent. It's just a matter of where the opponent is positioned on the mat. But look, you know, we just saw Sammy Guevara in a match that I think aired tonight on Rampage. Rampage aired at 7 o'clock instead of 10. But they taped it the other night, and he hit a 630, I think it was, off the top rope. And he came down with his knee right on Jeff Hardy's face. Broke his nose. They don't think he's concussed, but he broke his nose. It's all about where the opponent is positioned. You know, you got to be careful with that. So that was very scary. Other than that, though, I mean, Tiffany Doesn't look out of place on the main roster so far. She's looked good otherwise. And she is officially now in the Elimination Chamber. In the back, they showed AJ Styles. Just kind of, he was sitting in one of the lockers, just in a dressing room. One of the dressing rooms. Anderson, Gallows, and Michin walk in. And they asked him, what's going on? You haven't called. You haven't texted. Carl Anderson said, I don't know why you guys care so much, because AJ clearly forgot where he's from. And that pissed off AJ. He got up, he pie-faced Anderson, and he smacked him. Anderson got up at his face and said if it was anybody else, and implying that he would have dropped him on the spot. And AJ ended up walking away. It's hard for me to care, honestly, about this OC stuff. I mean, the OC, like, who cares? They have not been positioned in any meaningful way whatsoever. At all. I know Anderson and Gallows just popped up in NXT. Maybe that's a spoiler. I mean, I know they taped next week's show already, but I did see that they made an appearance in NXT, so they may be spending more time down there for all we know, but they sure as shit haven't been doing anything on the main roster. And AJ Styles, if he's hanging around with them and they're teasing some kind of a feud, you know, it doesn't elevate anybody. It just brings AJ down. We're heading into WrestleMania, and I don't see a clear path for him at WrestleMania. Now, AJ, I think, missed WrestleMania last year. He had the broken ankle. And so it would suck for him not to have a role this year. He's not getting any younger. How many more WrestleMania matches is he going to have? Like, prominent WrestleMania matches does he even have left? It would be nice if they got him involved in something meaningful, right? There's a certain new member of the SmackDown roster, which we'll get to later. That would make for a hell of a match if he got in the ring with AJ Styles. I'm just saying. But I hope they come up with something better for him than this. Now, we got a video package from the remaining members of Damage Control. Io Sky, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. Io spoke in Japanese with subtitles and said this is her era and she would embarrass Bayley at WrestleMania. They also told Dakota Kai to sleep with one eye open because they're coming for her too. We had AOP's in-ring debut up next. Debut, return. It's been a few years. We can call it a debut. They took on the team of Javier Bernal from NXT, Big Body Javi, and Bo Morris. I don't know who Bo Morris is, but there he was. He was on my television screen, but not for long, because this did not go longer than 45 seconds at the most. This was a complete massacre. AOP hit the Super Collider for the win. Now, they were led to the ring by Paul Ellering. And kind of bringing it up the rear was Scarlett and Karrion Kross. And then when the match was over, Ellering, they all posed in the ring. They all stood tall in the ring. And Ellering was front and center. So it really feels more like Ellering's faction than it does Karrion Kross, which is not how I thought it was going to be. But that's how it felt here in this segment. And they are doing next week, it's going to be the Street Profits against AOP, which they taped tonight. That'll be on next week's show. Byron Saxton was backstage with Logan Paul to ask him about his first match ever on SmackDown. All the matches that Logan Paul has had so far have been on pay-per-views. This is his first time live on SmackDown in the ring. He said, tonight, we're going to get to see him knock out The Miz live on SmackDown. He's going to go to Australia. He's going to win the Elimination Chamber. He's going to go to WrestleMania and rematch Seth Rollins from last year. And he's going to walk out with the World Heavyweight title, which is going to make him a double champion. And I said, that's not going to happen. He is going to go to the Chamber, though. He's not going to go to WrestleMania and wrestle Seth Rollins. And that's what we had next. We had Logan Paul one-on-one against The Miz. This was a rematch from SummerSlam a couple of years ago. There was a kid in the aisleway, in the crowd, along the aisleway as Logan was coming out. And he had a bottle of Prime, which is Logan's drink. So Logan makes a beeline for the kid. Now you think, okay, he's going to sign the bottle or he'll fist bump the kid. It's like Diesel. When Kevin Nash had that tweener turn back at the end of 95, he said, all you people that are wearing the black gloves that I know you're with me, I'll smack your hand. Everybody else, I don't give a shit about you, right? So I thought like the bottle of Prime is going to be like his Diesel glove. He went over to the kid. He took the bottle. He took the gum out of his mouth. and he stuck the gum on top of the bottle and gave it back to the kid. And the kid was on cloud 9. The kid was so excited that he got this piece of chewed gum stuck on top of his bottle. Now, how long before that bottle and the gum ends up on eBay? That's what I want to know. Britney Spears, all those years ago, was it $13,000, $14,000 for a piece of chewed gum? How much do you think a Logan Paul piece of chewed gum on top of a bottle of Prime would fetch on eBay? I'm not going to find out. There's some freaks out there that will. I won't be one of them, though. So they showed a shot of Nick Aldis. He was sitting up in one of the skyboxes, and he wasn't by himself. He had Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Jade Cargill, and Braun Breaker were all with him. There was a botch early on in this match by Logan, which is rare because he's usually pretty smooth out there. It still amazes me, when I watch him in the ring, for someone with the level of experience that he has, which is not a lot, how fluid and smooth he is in the ring. He's a total natural. I mean, say what you want to about the guy. In ring, the guy's a natural. He took to this like a duck to water, but there was a botch early on. He went for a standing moonsault, and he just landed wrong. It looked like he almost landed face first into Miz's knee, almost knocked himself out. And then they tried to scramble to save the spot, and it was a little rough. But after that, they settled in, and they ended up having a pretty good match. Miz attacked Logan's knee after that. Miz ended up out on the apron. Logan ran Miz into the ring post. Then Logan hit a leaping springboard clothesline that took Miz down on the apron. And then Logan hit a frog splash onto Miz, who was laid out on the apron. And that took us into a commercial break. After the break, Miz set up for the skull-crushing finale. Logan worked out of it until Miz hit a code breaker from the middle rope for a 2 count. Miz went back to Logan's knee. He tried for a figure 4 leg lock, but Logan raked the eyes, and he hit the Paul-crushing finale, as they called it on commentary. And that did not work. Miz came up a little bit bloody from the mouth, but he did ultimately get the figure 4 applied. Logan was screaming and selling it, and he dragged himself over to the ropes. The action spilled outside. Logan ran Miz back first into the ring apron. And then he rolled Miz back inside. Then he turned around, and he walked over to somebody in the front row who the announcers identified as his friend Jeff. Well, of course. Oh, man, it's Jeff, everybody. Haven't seen this guy in a long time. It's Jeff. Jeff was in the front row, and Jeff handed Logan Paul a pair of brass knuckles. Stop me if you've heard this before. So he handed him the brass knucks. Miz, though, clobbers Logan from behind, and Miz ends up getting possession of the brass knucks. Now, the referee looks down, he sees this, and he tells Miz, he warns him, he goes, if you use those, you're disqualified. If you get disqualified, you don't go to the chamber. So Miz took the knucks off, he chucked them aside, but as he climbed back into the ring, Logan kicked the middle rope up into Miz's tiny balls. And then Logan hauled off and decked him with the deadly right hand. Miz was out on his feet. He was leaned up against Logan's body. And Logan executed what I would just describe as an inverted skull-crushing finale. And I didn't expect that to be the finish, but it ended up being the finish. He pinned him. And so just like that, Logan Paul is on his way to Perth, just like Kevin Owens earlier. Both men will be in the men's chamber match. I'll put the graphic up one more time. There's your final lineup for Australia next week. One of these men will go to WrestleMania to challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. And again, that man should be Drew McIntyre. But you can't rule out Randy Orton. Can't rule out Randy Orton or Logan Paul. Now, Logan Paul and LA Knight, I meant to say LA Knight, but LA Knight and Logan Paul are also in the chamber. So, if the WrestleMania match was going to be Logan Paul defending against LA Knight, they could start something between them in the chamber. Everybody, you just assume that there's going to be, obviously, something between Owens and Logan. Owens will target him, go after him. But it could be a case where maybe Logan Paul eliminates LA Knight. And that's the spark for a future WrestleMania match. The fact that they're in the same match together, though, makes it a possibility. I will have to say this, though. The stuff with the knucks, it's going to get real old real fast if that goes beyond WrestleMania. So I'm hoping that come WrestleMania, that gimmick dies and goes away. See, William Regal pulled it off. He had the power of the punch. even when he was the general manager in NXT, if you remember, on his desk, he actually it was like in a little stand of some kind, or maybe it was like a case. He had his old pair of brass knucks. That was his gimmick. And it worked for him. Beyond WrestleMania, we don't need to see Logan Paul constantly using the brass knucks. Backstage, Nick Aldis was meeting with Jade Cargill and Braun Breaker, who were looking over their respective contract offers. Tiffany Stratton walked into the room. She had some words for Bianca and Liv Morgan, who were over in the corner having a conversation. And she said, I've never been in a chamber match before, so I'm not sure. How does this work? Do I pin you first and then you, or do I pin you first and then you? And that got her some heat with the other women. They started arguing. Aldis told Tiffany, not now. She left. And then Aldis, Jade, and Braun, they left the room as well. Jade in the chamber depends on whether or not they feel comfortable beating her. Now, she was in the Royal Rumble. She didn't win that either. Do you want her to be in the Elimination Chamber and lose again there? Because that would be kind of strange. She hasn't even had one singles match, one television match yet. And she's not going to WrestleMania to wrestle Rhea Ripley. So that's really what it boils down to. Do they not mind beating her in the chamber? Look, if she goes into the women's chamber and she's dominant and she racks up a couple of eliminations and she looks great, even if she gets beat, it's not like it really harms her, heading into her future debut. It's not going to be a killer for her. But it also, you're kind of throwing her into the deep end of the pool because the Elimination Chamber match, it's this big gimmick match. And is she prepared for something like that? Again, we have not seen this woman have any actual match yet, other than being in the Royal Rumble. Now, you got people in that chamber. You got Becky, you got Bianca, you got people that can help lead her. But I'm not so sure that they necessarily want to beat her. We'll find out on Monday, because if she ends up in that last chance battle royal, she's going to win. And then we'll know. We had one last qualifier to go. And it was Naomi, one-on-one against Alba Fyre. It was supposed to be Naomi against Shotzi. Shotzi, at this NXT taping for next week's show, had a match with Lyra Valkyria. I don't know if it'll air or not. It's a tape show. They could always scrap the whole thing. But she got hurt. And she hurt her knee badly. We still don't have any definitive word on exactly what the injury is. We don't know if she broke something. We don't know if she tore her ACL. The only thing we know is that it is a significant injury that is going to cost her a significant amount of time. So we're not going to be seeing Shotzi for a while. So best of luck to her. I wish her a speedy recovery. Never like hearing that somebody gets hurt. But she was not in this match. She was replaced. Naomi has new music. It is not an improvement over her last beat. It's very generic. Very generic. Again, sometimes I don't know why they change something. If they fix it, if it's not broken. I can understand if somebody has a piece of music there. It's like, it's not really that great, or it sucks. So you change it, you replace it. When you have music that's fine, the way it is, and then you replace it with something inferior, I just don't understand that. It doesn't make sense to me. Not a whole lot, honestly, to say about this match. Isla Dawn, who was out there in Alba Fyre's corner, got involved, tried to help her win. It did not work. Naomi ended up winning with her submission finish to advance to the chamber. I thought this was very dull. This was easily the worst of all the qualifying matches on this show. Naomi advancing, though, that was a foregone conclusion. Especially Alba was in there as the substitute, right? You got the teacher and you got the substitute teacher. You're not going to send the substitute teacher to the Elimination Chamber. So that was not really a surprise. But just to throw this up again, here is the women's lineup. We got one spot left to fill, but you got some big names in there. And that's also a big spot for Tiffany to be in. Tiffany's another one, like Jade, in the Royal Rumble. Looked good. Now she's going to be in the chamber. Who knows? Maybe Jade will end up joining her. As far as winners here, it's got to be Becky. How do you not do Becky and Rhea at WrestleMania? Now, look, I would love to see Bianca Belair against Rhea Ripley. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there's 0% chance of that happening. There absolutely is a chance that that match could happen. But to me, that's a match that would be better suited for next year's WrestleMania. Maybe SummerSlam, but that could be your WrestleMania 41 match. That's a women's match, honestly, and I don't know what the card is going to be next year. I don't know where Punk is going to be. I don't know what, are they going to do Rock and Roman? Is Austin going to come back and do a match? He told ESPN this week he's not closing the door on a match in the future. Without knowing what the card looks like next year, Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair is a women's match that you could absolutely headline one of the nights of WrestleMania with. Like, that's a big-time match. And to me, if Bianca wins the Chamber, it kind of comes out of nowhere. And it almost feels like they're kind of rushing into something that would be better off saved for a future event. So I'd love to see the match. But they have been teasing and all but telling you that Becky Lynch is going to get the match with Rhea Ripley. I really don't see it being anybody else. Bayley was shown in the back. She was walking along when she was approached by Dakota Kai. And Dakota Kai said that Damage Control is coming after her and she didn't know where to turn. And she tried to apologize to Bayley. Bayley shut her down. Said, look, this has been going on for months now and I have no idea who I can trust anymore. And she walked away and left Dakota all by herself. We come back live into the arena. And Nick Aldis is on stage. He talked about how he's been negotiating for all of us, for SmackDown. He's been negotiating with multiple free agents. And he is pleased to announce that one of those individuals is no longer a free agent. The newest member of the SmackDown roster, Bron Breakker. And Bron walks out. He signs his contract. They had photographers there. Were people masquerading as photographers to take pictures of him and Aldis shaking hands like this is some kind of a big signing, because it is. That's a big addition to the SmackDown roster. What it also means is that we're not getting Braun and Gunther for the Intercontinental title of WrestleMania. There was some talk about the possibility that he might take Brock Lesnar's spot and they might rocket him to the top and have him challenge and even beat Gunther for the belt at WrestleMania. My fear with that, too much, too soon. I would just as soon, again, take my time with this guy. This guy is going to be a huge star for them. When you look at the roster and you think, who is the guy or one of the guys or girls that they're going to be relying on to carry them 5 years, 10 years from now, that are going to win multiple world titles, probably headline multiple WrestleManias. Bron Breakker is one of those people. He's one of their, if not the top prospect, one of their top prospects. And he spent a lot of time down in NXT, more than he had to. And he's not done yet. He and Baron Corbin just won the NXT Tag Team titles. So even though he's officially a member of the SmackDown roster, he's not officially done. He's not fully done yet with NXT. Now, he might be as of Stand and Deliver weekend. Maybe they drop the tag belts there. But not done yet with NXT. But I think him being on SmackDown is the right move. I think Jade probably ends up on Raw. But him on SmackDown, he has any number of people that he can be working with. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be working with Randy Orton on day one, but look at the roster as it is currently made up on SmackDown. You've got Bron Breakker, who can work with people like Randy Orton. He can work with AJ Styles. He can work with Kevin Owens. Right? He can work with Logan Paul. He can work with Rey Mysterio. He can work with just any number of these people. And it would be amazing. And that's as a babyface. I kind of thought and hoped they would bring him up as a heel. You know, once I saw him in the Royal Rumble, he was back in his babyface singlet and everything else, like shaved the beard a little bit. I'm like, all right, he's going to be a babyface again. But Bron Breakker as a heel, I thought he thrived in NXT. So you can have him as a babyface, you can have him as a heel. They even teased that maybe he'll be a Paul Heyman guy one day, right? There was a little interaction, right, with him and Paul Heyman. I think it was last week. But I think SmackDown is a great place for him to be. You could throw Lashley on that list too. You know, Bron Breakker and Bobby Lashley. You know, again, he's got so many different people that he can work with on that show. But he is one of their best exports from the Performance Center. When you look at talent at the Performance Center, has spit out into the main roster, into the universe, right? The WWE universe. You have Tiffany, Stratton. I mean, you can name a few different people, very talented. They're going to go far. Bianca Belair, put her on that list too. Braun Breaker has to be at the top of that list. He's going to be a big, big name for them. And then it was time for the Bloodline. Roman Reigns was out to the ring first with Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy Uso. It was our main event segment. Roman asked Salt Lake City to acknowledge him. He wants to be honest with all of us, the people of Utah. He goes, well, you're idiots. He goes, I'm not talking about any of you individually, but collectively, when you're together like this, he said, you're idiots. And tonight's a big night. I don't want all of you to ruin this, because when my cousin comes out here, y'all might go dumb. But this is the thing. Everything we say has meaning. It has purpose. It has information that they need to understand. Tonight is history. Tonight is the greatest night ever in WWE. And he was met by loud chants of Cody. He said, yes, that guy ruined everything, Cody. But tonight we fix it. Tonight is the first night that we can say The Rock officially is a member of the Bloodline. Rock's music hit. And out he comes in a fucking Versace vest. He did the thing, right? From the old $500 silk or $700 silk shirts he used to walk out on television on, $98, $99. Here he was in his Versace vest, a lot bigger than he used to be, literally and otherwise. And he made his way to the ring. As he was making his way down to the ring, they cut to commercial, which was very smart. Because now everybody can be like, all right, this is the only part of the show worth watching here. The Rock is going to be on the show, right? I got to watch the last 15 minutes of this show. So you got to build up the big finale here. Rock said that before he drops some gospel on us, he's got some good news to share. Something that's going to make all of us happy. Tonight, it is official. The fans in Utah, here in Salt Lake City, the fans have broken an all-time indoor attendance record for the entire state of Utah. He said, congratulations. And that may well be legit. I know they had a totally sold out crowd tonight for the show. It might have been about 12 or 13,000, somewhere in that range. I would be surprised, frankly, if they've ever run Utah before and had that many people. I just don't know when they would have run Utah when business was booming like this. Did they run Salt Lake City much in the Attitude Era? I don't know offhand. So it may well have been. It may well have been a new record. He goes, well, here's the record that you broke. You broke the record for the largest gathering of trailer park trash that The Rock has ever seen. I thought I was transported back to 1998. It was good to hear The Rock talk about the trailer park trash. It's been too long. I did enjoy that. He said, now, if you didn't like that, you're going to love this. And he started to do his, finally. He said, finally, your life has meaning. He said, you and your 50 wives will have a story to tell your 600 inbred grandchildren one day. And that is what it's like to look at greatness, because finally, The Rock has come back to Salt Lake City. I told you, I enjoyed that part of the promo. So that got him Rocky chants. This fucking guy is going to go out there and turn himself babyface. They started chanting Rocky. Last week it was Rocky sucks. Now he comes out here and insults the fans and they're chanting his name. These fucking people don't know what they want. He said they all have brought out a side of The Rock that they have not seen in years. Someone said, at this point, I couldn't hear what it was. Somebody said something to him. So he looked at the guy, he called him fatty. He told him to shut up before he slaps the herpes off his lips. Again, we've heard these lines from him before. He said, it's The Rock and Roman Reigns. You had the biggest WrestleMania main event in history. He said you had it. It was right there. You had it in your hands and you let it go. It's like a bird, right? The bird flew away. Bye-bye. There goes the bird. You let it go. You flushed it down the toilet. He said the same toilet you sat your fat asses on while you tweeted, we want Cody. He's got to finish his story. We want Cody. We want Cody. Let The Rock ask you a question. Here's where it got weird. Now, you can chalk this up to him being a heel, but it's still pretty stupid. He says, let The Rock ask you a question. He said, what is Cody's story? What exactly is Cody's story? Let The Rock make it clear. My cousin Roman Reigns beat Cody's ass at last year's WrestleMania. Cody lost the match, and all of a sudden, Cody wants a rematch? Said that's his story? That's not how it works. Think about how stupid that logic is, he said. Oh, when he said that line, I said, oh, I'm well aware of how stupid the logic is here. You've got a lot to do with that, Rock. Oh, believe me, I'm well aware of the logic gaps in what we've seen over the last few weeks. You've got a lot to do with that. So they started giving him the what treatment. I can't believe this fucking chant is still alive. Every time, I mean, it pisses me off. 2002. Right? Was it it might have been 2001. What am I even saying? 2001 was the first time that we heard Austin with this stupid what shit. It is 2024. There are people now who are becoming wrestling fans for the very first time who hear the crowd going, what? And they're like, huh, okay, well, I guess that's what they do. So I'll check, what? These fucking idiots, they think that this is just the norm. I mean, I can't believe this thing is still alive and well. So they start giving him the what treatment. So he said, I know you inbreds want to chant what, but sit there and shut up and listen. He said, apply that logic to any sport. The 49ers just lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. What did they do? Did they cry? What about our story? We gotta finish our story. He says, no, they took their lumps like men. They dusted themselves off and they moved on. Like men. Now everyone in this city and everyone in this entire state should know all about this. He said Michael Jordan came in here and he crushed the dreams of the Utah Jazz. Boo! They booed The Rock. He said, you boo because it's the truth. He ended their story. What did the Jazz do? They took it like men and they worked their asses off to try to make it back to the top. That's how the real world works. He says, you don't understand that because you're all a bunch of spoiled, entitled, crybaby bitches. And this is where I said, ooh, it's burning him inside. It's burning him inside because you know that when he made the decision, he's been sitting on the fence for so long, I'm surprised he doesn't have a fucking ass print in the fence. Okay, he's been sitting on the fence for so long. Are we going to do this match or are we not going to do this match? They're going to do it last year. They didn't do the match last year. So finally, he decides to do this match. And you know, even though he's turning it into a character now, that deep down, he believes that the people fucked up what in his mind would have been the biggest match of all time. And you know it bothers him. So now he's able to channel all of that frustration and use it to his advantage here because now he's a heel on television. So now he can say it out loud to the fans, but oh, hey, I'm a heel, right? But you know he actually feels that way because he didn't come back to do this. He didn't come back to go heel and play the hits. And maybe that's why a lot of the shtick and the material here was it literally sounded like it was lifted from 25 years ago. I don't think he's had that much time to put a lot of thought into this. He's like, let me put the Versace vest on. I'll come out here. I'll use the same lines I used in 98, right? I mean, this is not what he was originally intending to do here. But he's going with the flow. But you know, the words that he was speaking here, like when he comes out and he says, when he got booed, right, the first time, like at the Vegas press conference, and he heard the boos and everything, and he was like, I respect what would he say? I love the passion. I love the passion, right? Love the passion. Fuck the passion, right? You know it bothers him. He said, Cody Rhodes, The Rock is going to do everything in his power to make sure you do not walk out of WrestleMania anything but a loser. Your story is just ending. Our story is just beginning. And he goes, if you smell, and he goes, no. Now, Salt Lake City, sing along with The Rock is over. You lost that privilege. Sit there and shut your mouth and enjoy the ride that The Rock is taking you on. And he said, if you smell what the bloodline is cooking, and they all put their fingers up in the air, that is how they went off the air. If you were a fan of The Rock back when he was a heel in the corporation, if you were a fan of The Rock when he was a heel in the Nation of Domination, if you were a fan of Hollywood Rock, then you probably enjoyed this segment here. It was a nice little stroll down memory lane. It was nostalgia, right? We all fall for it. We all love our own little dose of nostalgia. And for one night, that's fine. I could see this getting old unless he tries to change it up a little bit. But for one night, I will say there were parts of this promo I enjoyed more than others. It was nice to see The Rock out there just doing something that, honestly, I didn't expect him to be doing. And he didn't expect himself to be doing. And it's a hell of a lot better than him coming out there and playing Captain America like he did in the segment with Jinder Mahal on Raw last month. I'll take this over that. But I was disappointed that there was no follow-up on the stuff with him and Triple H. The whole power struggle idea, which clearly they were teasing. Now, they don't have to give the store away in one night, so I'm willing to be patient and see what plays out between the two of them. Again, I'm not expecting a match. It's not like it's building to a match between Triple H and The Rock, despite what Dave might say or think. Jesus Christ. But, you know, it was interesting that he took those shots at Rock last week, and there was no mention whatsoever, not a single mention about Triple H or even a little dig at him without naming him or anything like that. It was not even mentioned. It was not even brought up. The stuff about Rock talking about Cody, that's not how the world works. That's not how life works. You got beat last year. Now you think you could just say that I want a rematch and get a rematch. Yeah, it didn't make any sense. It made no sense whatsoever because he left out one very important fact, which is that Cody Rhodes did not wake up one day and go on TV and say, hey, Roman Reigns, I choose you. I want to face you again at WrestleMania. He won the Royal Rumble. He had to go through Brock Lesnar, right? We all had to go through months of Cody and Brock Lesnar. He beat Brock Lesnar. His team won War Games. He went to the Royal Rumble. He became the first man to win the Royal Rumble back-to-back in 20-some-odd years. He left that little fact out. Now, you could chalk it up to, hey, he's a heel. All right? He's a heel trying to get heat. But it's funny to me when he comes out there and the whole premise of his promo is, this doesn't make sense. There's no logic to this. There's no logic to that. There's no logic to any of this, which honestly is par for the course. There's no logic to what they did on this television show a few weeks ago when Cody stepped aside for The Rock. And I am no longer expecting them to even bother giving us an answer about that. It's just not going to happen. So I thought it was kind of appropriate that he would make those comments because I just thought to myself, well, it kind of goes with what we've seen so far. That what he said here doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. When it was over, I did have the feeling, because there's any number of ways this could go. Cody's going to win the title of WrestleMania. He's going to win the title of WrestleMania. And the question is, how does it all go down? Is it a case where Rock is going to help him win? And when I say help him win, is this all a ruse? Is it a case where it's not a ruse, but, you know, he kind of tells Solo and Jimmy to stand down when they try to get involved, and it's like, what are you doing? And it leads to him losing. You know, Rock is going to take over the bloodline, and they kind of kick Roman to the curb. I mean, there's any number of ways they can go with it. I was left with the impression, though, when this was over, that Rock is going to help Cody Rhodes win the title at WrestleMania. Whether that's his intent right now at this moment, and this is all just an act that he's putting on because he's going to swerve his cousin in the end, or maybe not, but something's going to go down at WrestleMania that makes him have a change of heart. It's like the switch gets flipped. And again, he doesn't help his cousin win, and it leads to Cody winning the championship. That was the impression I got when this was over. Rock is going to play a role directly in ultimately helping Cody win this title at WrestleMania. And that will, of course, begin the build to next year's WrestleMania, where we will get Rock against Roman Reigns. So that was the feeling I got watching this. They made the announcement, and they made the announcement the other day, but they mentioned it again on SmackDown tonight, that Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins are going to be a guest of Grayson Waller's and the Grayson Waller effect at Elimination Chamber. So that is what Cody is going to be doing. That is not the first time that Cody has been in a Grayson Waller effect segment on a pay-per-view. This will be the second time. The first time was at Payback last year. They had a talk show segment with him, and that was the night that he announced that Jey Uso was the newest addition to Monday Night Raw. So now he's back again on the Grayson Waller effect. There was no mention of Rock or Roman being at the Elimination Chamber. That could change. There's a week left. I don't see that changing. I don't think they're making the flight. So at this moment, it does not look like the Bloodline, or at least those two members of the Bloodline. They could send Jimmy. They could send Solo. They did show us a segment in the back tonight where Paul Heyman was having a conversation with Grayson Waller. We just couldn't hear what they were saying. But right now, it looks like Rock and Roman are not going to be there. So we'll see how that segment plays out. But the fact that Cody and Seth are going to be on that show together, it keeps the hope alive, if it is something that you want to see, that there will be a tag team match at WrestleMania. Because if Rock is going to wrestle, if Rock is in training camp, as he told Pat McAfee, and he's going to wrestle, he wants to get in the ring and work a match at WrestleMania, that is still the most likely scenario. It's not a triple threat, I don't think. I'm not even sure, honestly, it's a singles match. I think doing a tag match on night one, Rock and Roman against Cody and Seth, with the idea of softening up Cody for the title match the next night, that is still the likeliest scenario. But we did not get any more clarity on that tonight. And again, they have another, what is it? It's the 16th. They have another 6 weeks, 7 weeks of television to fill between now and WrestleMania. They don't have to give all the answers to us here in 1 week. But that is one of the questions that still has yet to be answered. When SmackDown was over, I was not impressed with this show. You take out the stuff at the end, which was kind of interesting to watch. And yeah, there was some good wrestling on the show, but you know what? I get great wrestling on television every week from these two companies. You got to give me more. This show didn't have a whole lot. This show was kind of a dud otherwise. And I think opinion may be varied on that Rock promo at the end. I enjoyed the dose of nostalgia to a degree. There were parts of it, obviously, I wasn't as big of a fan of. I'm not sure that we're going to get to see very many of these Rock promos because I'm not expecting them on television most weeks. But nonetheless, it was the right move to make. Cody and Roman is the direction. If you don't like it, too bad. Guess what? Cody's going to finish the story at WrestleMania. And that's going to piss a lot of people off too. That's just storytelling. It's the same people who at the end of WrestleMania last year said, well, there's always next year. Well, guess what? It's next year. It's time to finish the story and move on. I said this the other night. I don't understand how everybody is not on board with Cody finishing his story. Even if you hate Cody Rhodes, everybody should want Cody to finish his story at WrestleMania. Either you're a Cody fan and you want to see it, or you're not and you just want to see it over so you don't have to hear about it anymore. This should be across the board. Everybody should want this story to be over and end at WrestleMania 40. I don't understand how anybody could feel any differently. Here's the Twitter poll. 82.6% thumbs up. 17% thumbs down. Boy, that's all. That is a lot of people who are on the nostalgia train, who love the Rock promo, and they graded this show on a curve, because this was not an 82% thumbs up show. Ain't no fucking way. I've seen 82% shows. I've seen 82% SmackDowns. This was not an 82% SmackDown. I don't know what those people are smoking. Smoking Joe. Smoking Joe. Let's take a look at your super chat to find out what you thought of Hollywood Rock. The new version, the new age version of Hollywood Rock with his Versace vest tonight. Lakers Pats. We'll start with him as the super chats pop up here on screen. Rhodes at Hawaii family beefing, calling it family feud, he says. Jacqueline Fowler, thank you for the 12. Hey, Solomonster, what do you think of a potential match between Tetsuya Naito and, let's see here. Tetsuya Naito, the leader of Los Ingobernables de Japón, against Swerve Strickland, leader of the Mogul Embassy at Forbidden Door. I don't care about either faction. I just think Naito and Swerve would actually be a very good match. I'm fine with the match. I really don't care for either of the factions, though. Base Beer is what a contrast between Naomi and Fyre's entrances. And he says, Rock ices his arm before he steps out. That's how he gets the goosebumps. Just pours cold water on his arms. HBKC83, Rock and Roman, the new two-man power trip. Not until they win all the titles. Then it'll be a two-man power trip. Jamie in the chat says, heel Rock is obviously exempt from the WWE wellness policy. Well, we already knew that. We learned that years ago, that the top names, like the part-timers, or guys that would come in for like a big WrestleMania match, they're not subject to the wellness policy. I'm sure that hasn't changed. The line drive with the 1999. Dwayne learned nothing from getting cooked by Cena, and he looks worse than Jericho's Chris Farley looking midlife crisis, he calls it. Crisis right now. Just shtick and rambling in his promo with an analogy that does not apply to a Royal Rumble winner. It's like I said, he played the hits. I thought that there were some lines in there that were entertaining and funny, and then there were some that were just like, eh. You know, he was trying very hard to make sure that these people booed him. And there was one point in the promo where they chanted Rocky. For the rest of it, they booed him. You know, when he healed on the Utah Jazz, it's the easiest way to get cheap heat. You just heal on the hometown sports team. I mean, you go to Seattle and heal on the Supersonics and forget about it. It'll be like a fucking nuclear meltdown. So he was trying very hard to make sure that people booed him and, you know, insulting them, using a lot of the same insults. You know, again, some people are going to like that, and some people are going to be like, you know what? You might want to update your shtick a little bit. I could see where opinion might be divided on that segment. It was AI Rock, says Daddy Ugarte. Could have been. If you close your eyes, you know what? If you close your eyes, it could have been. It could have been AI Rock. Prince Vegeta says, close to WrestleMania, WWE should film a montage of Cody training to the song Hearts on Fire, and then he should climb a mountain and scream Roman's name. I love it. I love it. What was that, Rocky 4, right? That was the Rocky 4 soundtrack? Great soundtrack. But that's a different song, right? That's I'm thinking there's another song also, No Easy Way Out. Hearts on Fire, and then No Easy Way Out is just a fantastic song. You want some workout music? I'll bet you there are a lot of people that have that music on their Spotify playlist when they're at the gym working out. Trey makes a great point in the chat. I said, you want to get cheap heat, you just heel on the hometown sports team. Rock actually did a much better job of that when he was Hollywood Rock. It might have been his first night on television as Hollywood Rock on Raw. And they were in Toronto. Actually, I know it was. It was the night after No Way Out. Had to be. In 2003. And he talked about the Maple Leafs. And that is honestly still to this day one of the best promos in Raw history, in WWE history. Because he came out there, he's got the black leather vest on, and he's talking about stronger than a bear, faster than a buck, the biggest thing to hit Canada because the Maple Leafs suck. And my God, the people just, the boos rained down upon this man. That was great. That was it. He was great back then. Luis Lopez, it's amazing how insignificant Roman feels right now. I keep telling you, man, it's the second time I have felt that way. And they have to be very careful how they position these two when they're on screen. There has to come a segment on the show at some point where you have the entire bloodline out there, Rock included, and let Roman get the spotlight. Let Rock, you know, he'll say a few words and then let him take a step off to the side. And put the mic in Roman's hand and let Roman go out there and cook for a while. You know, because at some point there's got to be a balance here. Right now, it just feels like Rock is number one, and then you got the rest of the bloodline. Roman should not be taking a backseat to anybody. The Mount Vernon Kid, I find it funny that Rock uses sports logic to try to knock rematches. How many rematches against Austin did he have? Many. Many. But again, it's, you know, him being a heel. So what do you expect? Hulkling93 with the 10 spot. Gotta love Rock's logic of using the 96 to 98 Jazz to explain why Cody's rematch doesn't make sense, when it actually does, since the Jazz lost to the Bulls one year and won the West to face them again. Well, don't let logic get in the way of a good story, I guess, right? Chris Miner. I just read from the 2024 Meltzer that David Otunga will be HBK's right-hand man in NXT Creative, and an unaired segment showing Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Hall, and Nash challenge each other for Mania. True reports. Well, if it was in the Observer, you must have seen something. I guess we all missed it. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Dave. I'll talk more about Dave on Sunday. Dave needs vacation. I think Dave is burned out. Superman Bass Fisher. The Rock forgot how to be a heel. The last Quincy. The crowd's gonna turn The Rock babyface by Mania. Yeah, probably. They tried to turn him babyface tonight, these people, with their Rocky chants. Zeta. Did you see Rock with the Bullet Club sign? No, I did not. The Real CS, if we get the Rock tag match, who gets the win and who takes the loss? Well, I mean, that would depend on what matches they might want to set up for future shows like SummerSlam coming out of that match. You know, if you have, I mean, if they do the tag match on night one, then I think the heels go over. I think Rock and Roman win. As far as who pins who in that match, I think if it, boy, you know, it's tough because there's so many different ways you can go with this. I think there's a good chance, honestly, that Rock would get the win. I think Rock would get the pin for his team in that match. Could be a case where Rock gets the win on night one. If Roman loses on night two, that could be what causes friction in the bloodline. The Rock went out there and did what had to be done. He represented the family. You went out there on night two, you lost, you disgraced the family, right? That you could just base the entire story on that. So yeah, I would think The Rock would be the one to pick up the win over who could be Cody. Cody could take the pin on night one, comes back, wins the title on night two. And that would then leave it open for a future match between Cody and The Rock, with Cody getting his win back over The Rock. The Line Drive says, who did Gunther face or wrestle, or who does Gunther face? I don't know why that says dids. That's not a word. Who does Gunther face at WrestleMania if Braun is on SmackDown? Well, we know he's wrestling Jey Uso on Raw this coming Monday for the Intercontinental title. And I don't want that to be the WrestleMania match. So that leaves Chad Gable, who at this point, I mean, it just looks like a pipe dream at this point. They have not done jack shit with Chad Gable since the last time he wrestled Gunther. I have no idea. I really don't. I have no idea why they did that last match. Gable cut that great promo, that just impassioned promo in the back after his loss, you know, with his little girl in the front row crying her eyes out. And I thought for sure, okay, they're going to take their time with this. He's going to have to win. He's going to have to work his way back up. They have done nothing. It's like they completely forgot about him. And I don't understand it. And now it's mid-February. So honestly, it's kind of late to try to heat up Chad Gable. But it's doable. And it would be a fantastic match and a fantastic redemption story. And there's his little girl in the front row when he wins and she's all happy, right? What a great story that would be. So I'm keeping hope alive for Chad Gable. I think, though, that he's probably third or fourth likeliest at best. You've got Sami Zayn, who keeps talking about how he's a contender and he believes he can be a world champion. I think there's a better chance of him ending up in the World Heavyweight title match. Somehow working his way in there and making it a triple threat. If Drew wins the Chamber, it ends up being Seth, Drew, and Sami. I think there's a better chance of that happening. But you got to have Sami as a possibility. And look, you've got Andrade. Andrade is brand new to the Raw roster. I don't know what else they would have him doing at WrestleMania. You know, I thought they might have him on SmackDown. Mixed in with the LWO and the Legato stuff and put Zelina back with him. They were such a great pair. Now he's on the opposite show. Andrade and Gunther. You know, I don't even know that Andrade would be the right guy, honestly, to take the title from him. But as a match, it would be fantastic. Andrade and Gunther would be a fucking hell of a match at WrestleMania. So it might go in that order. It might be Andrade, Sammy, Gable, maybe at the very bottom is a possibility. They have names. They have people that they can go with. I don't think it's going to be Jey Uso, though. I don't think they're going to keep that going. Party on Sparty says Rock promo was. This is Party on Sparty 18. I thought the one before was 15, so there's multiple ones. Rock promo was great, but no Triple H and no Roman Rock interaction. This segment felt incomplete, just like Cody and Seth's promo from Monday. That may have been by design because they don't want to give too much away all at once. So I think they may have done that on purpose. I think also it could have just been a case where they only had so much time. They were running out of time. You know, Rock had to wrap it up there because they were literally heading for the top of the hour. So there's only so much they can do. Rodimus says this may be a reach, but do you think WrestleMania could ever be hosted at the Rose Bowl? Brother, if they're willing to pay up, WrestleMania could be anywhere. WrestleMania could be on Pluto one year. If they've got the money and they want to put the bid in, WrestleMania could pretty much be anywhere. Dan Richards. Rock Roman is the biggest match, and they may have fallen ass backwards into a much better story of Rock overshadowing Roman in the Bloodline. WrestleMania 41, main event. The right move was always WrestleMania 41. Once the Cody thing became clear, that match was off the table for this year. Just from a creative standpoint. I'm not talking box office now. From a creative standpoint, once the Cody story it was clear they were going to go with him, he won the Royal Rumble. This became the WrestleMania 41 main event if they wanted to do it. This is not a match that you rush into. The Cody rematch has been brewing for a year. Rock and Roman is something you could build up for another year. You could add layers to it. No reason for it to happen this year. Xavier Walker. I think Seth is going to screw Cody. Why use that Shield reference? Cody saying he wasn't going to take the title could have been an Easter egg. Hey, Barry with the $30 Bully the Clown. It's been a while since the circus has come to town here. Good to see. Seth screwing Cody is something that scares me because I just think it would be so fucking lame. I mean, to pull that shit 2 years in a row, just change the person screwing him over, you can't do it. You can't do that. You just can't do it. Anna says, Tom and Nick. That's right. Shout out to R-Truth. Seth hates Cody. Well, yes. But they have said they are willing to put their differences aside because there's someone that Seth hates more than Cody, and that would be Roman Reigns. So why would Seth Rollins do anything to help Roman Reigns? What sense would that make? What sense would that make? So now we're right back to Seth and Cody, which we already saw 3 times? Uffman. New Catch Republic sounds like a store at a mall that sells skinny jeans. You know what? I thought that sounded familiar. It does sound like a store at the mall. Maybe not skinny jeans. The skinny jeans are like goth stuff. Like a Hot Topic type of store. New Catch Republic. That's all I'm going to think about now. Renegade 23, Seth Franklin Rollins. Hashtag never forget. Oh, I haven't forgotten that little faux pas. What house show was that? What was the city that show was supposed to be in that had that lineup posted? Seth Franklin Rollins. The Juliet. Dom will likely show up at Elimination Chamber to try help Mommy, and then Nia will squash him like a bug like Brock would have. Base Beerus, you referenced the angle moonsault on Holly. Tiffany hit the Alabama Slam tonight, which also looked like it hurt. That moonsault was nuts. Yeah, you know, and after the Alabama Slam, I think the referee quickly went over to check on Zelina to make sure she was okay. There were some rough spots in that match. There were definitely some rough spots there from Tiffany. You know, Zelina Vega, there are a lot of smaller women on the roster, but Zelina is tiny. So you got to be careful. You know, you slam her down or you come crashing down on her the way that she did. And there's a lot of bad things that can happen there. It's not like you're talking Rhea Ripley or Raquel or Charlotte or these like bigger, taller women. You know, Zelina's a little tiny girl. Ricky Cornflakes. I'm shaking. Big Dime's Dom was supposed to be in the chamber. Actually, Big Dime's Dom was supposed to be in a singles match with Brock Lesnar if Meltzer is to be believed, but after the stories that were in the Observer today that have already been debunked, I'm not so sure that was ever going to happen. Arabian Night 2000, I don't know what to think anymore. Arabian Night 2000, Zoe, Ariana, Wendy Chu, Rossi, Sol Ruka, Cora Jade. Now reportedly Nikita again tore their ACL within 2 years. Now I heard that Nikita Lyons was hurt again, but I have not seen anything about it being a torn ACL. Is there any confirmation of this? Where are you getting this from? Let's not just throw that out there without having it from a reliable source. I know she got hurt again. And she was just coming back from a torn ACL. So if she tore her ACL again, or the other one, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I've talked before recently about the spate of injuries, especially with the women out of the Performance Center. I don't know what's going on down there with the way they're training them or what. And it's usually the knee. Now, Shotzi, look, it could happen to anybody. Shotzi got hurt the other day at NXT. Knee injury. Could be an ACL. We don't know. But this has been happening far too often. And when you get to the 5th or 6th or 7th one, I think you got to look inward and say, okay, are we doing something wrong? Is there something that we need to be doing differently with these women? They're getting it from Twitter. Yeah, that's what you got to be careful of. If you're getting your information from Twitter, I mean, WrestleVotes, I consider WrestleVotes to be a fairly reliable source there, but you got to be careful where you can get your news from Twitter. Twitter itself is not a news source. Arabian Night says also Factor could be their signing people. Oh, he's continuing his previous super chat. Could be they're signing people who aren't experienced from the independents and are more gymnasts and NIL talent. This should be talked about more. Yeah, I mean, look, whether it's the people that they are signing or the way that they are training them, there's clearly something going on here because this was not happening before. This was not happening before at this rate with the same type of injury. Something is very, very off about this whole thing. Juice Giorgio, could this whole Rock, Cody, Roman, Seth situation have been a work all along? No. Are there still people who believe this nonsense that this was all part of the plan from the beginning? Are we really going through this again? Have we not learned anything from what happened in 2014 with Daniel Bryan? This was not the original plan. Go-Go, you made a great point about The Rock overshadowing Roman Reigns. And somebody else made a great point too about how they can turn that or weave that into the story of him overshadowing Roman. That could lead to problems. I don't know though that that's necessarily the plan. So if it's not, again, they have to be careful that Rock doesn't just continue to come off as completely just taking up all the oxygen in the room and making Roman look like an afterthought. That's not how your champion, by the way, as dominant as any champion this company has had since Hogan. That's not the way that Roman Reigns should be portrayed on TV. Grant Hudson, although there were parts that did not make sense, this felt like the first Rock real promo in a long time. I popped for the return of the $500 shirt and Sing Along with The Rock is over, which is a nod to 03. Yeah, no, I enjoyed parts of it. There were definitely some entertaining lines there from Rock. KC1324, thanks for all your podcasts and streams. Always love your feedback. Do you think Seth is the only one Cody recruits, or do you think he asked Randy Orton to back him up at WrestleMania 40? Could be. I mean, if they don't have anything better for Randy to do on the show, he's going to have a match. I mean, Randy Orton missed WrestleMania last year. He's not going to want to miss WrestleMania in the ring this year. So they're going to have to come up with something for him to do in the ring. If Cody needs more help, then he'll recruit more help. We don't know how Rock is going to stack the deck against him. All we know is that Rock has threatened to do whatever he can within his power to make sure that Cody does not finish his story. So that's a possibility, right? There's history there with Cody and Randy. I was hoping for a Cody and Randy program coming out of WrestleMania. Maybe not right away, but like coming out of WrestleMania, maybe SummerSlam, Cody and Randy as the WWE title match. I'd like to see them work against each other. Base Beerus says, respect the Rumble. Don't ever usurp the winner. Nash DTV, advice for when you get your Miu Mini. Get a name brand SD card. The ones that come with it are cheap and fail often. Also upgrade to Onion. Now, brother, I am so far ahead of you. You have no idea. If there's one thing you know about me, I do my research. So I have already purchased the SanDisk 128 gig SD micro SD card. I'm not even using the card reader that comes with this thing. I bought a reader to use. I'm gonna put Onion OS on there. There are people who are like, what the fuck is he talking about? But yes, I will be doing all of those things. If all goes well, my Miu should be here on Sunday night maybe, so fingers crossed. Then I have to set the whole thing up. Mikey claiming if Rock kicks out Roman, where does Paul go? That's the question, isn't it? Where does Paul Heyman go? Paul Heyman is going to go with whoever is going to be on TV more often. So if Roman is going to take a break for a while and he gets kicked out of the bloodline, Heyman probably would stick with The Rock, I would think. You know, Heyman has represented a lot of big names in his career in WWE. Brock, Punk, Roman. We've never seen Paul Heyman with The Rock. Only thing is, Rock doesn't need a manager. Rock doesn't need somebody talking for him. But the dynamic of having Heyman and Rock together, I think just visually would be kind of cool. But I also have no illusions that The Rock is going to be sticking around very often after WrestleMania. Let's see here. We got Bobby's World. Best Macho Man flying elbow. My vote goes to the one he dropped on Hogan at WrestleMania 5. Oh, you mean the one that Hogan kicked out of? Didn't he give him like 5 of them at WrestleMania? I think he gave him 5 elbow drops. And Hogan kicked out. I mean, to me, the best Macho elbow, still the most epic Macho Man elbow, is the one to Steamboat at WrestleMania 3. Donnie Yasu, Paul Heyman and heel Rock together is a dream come true. I like, by the way, I will say, I very much like seeing as the Super Chats come in, it says when we've got some new ones, like first time ever, third time ever, I'm seeing a lot of newbies here. So, very cool. Keep it up. Want to hear from all you guys. Dragon Lee says, what's your favorite tattoo on a wrestler? My favorite wrestler tattoo. Honestly, I think the tribal tattoos, like the Samoan tribal tattoos, like on the shoulder, like what Rock and Roman have, and I think, I don't know about Jimmy, Jay Uso has. I think that looks badass. I think that kind of tribal, and again, it's usually on the shoulder and like part of the chest, like the pec. I think that looks badass. I think I might go with that one. How would I look with that? What do you think? How would I look if I got that, right? Got the same tattoo? Please. 5 seconds in the chair, I'd be in tears. Richie. I don't see The Rock being heel for long. They are only booing him because they wanted Cody to fight Roman. That's exactly why they're booing him. Retro KOH, if Cody does not make a reference to In and Out in one of his upcoming promos, then what the hell are we even doing here? I don't know. He still cares about his image. I'm not sure he might want to bring that up. Bobby's World says that Hollywood Rock promo in Toronto is one of my all-time favorites. Dude, I did a list. Like, I don't know if it was top 10 or top 8 or whatever it was. Best promo, top 9. I think it was top 9. Best promos in WWE history. And I had that pretty high up on the list. I think I had that at number 3 or 4, like all time. Like, that's one of my favorite promos. Dude was on fire that night. Trey Johnson, I'm from Canada, and that promo is genuinely god tier. Some of the best Rock work that he's ever done. I agree. Alex, Brother Solo, do you think this version of The Rock will get a new theme song by Mania? I don't know if they still have the rights to the 03 heel Rock theme. Unfortunately, I don't think that they are going to use the old theme. I just listened to it again the other day, and it's so good. That guitar riff, oh my god, it's so good. But if they don't use the old one, and I don't know. I mean, again, this whole thing was not something that I think was planned from the get-go, so they would have to have new music made for him. And what are they going to do? They're going to have new music made for heel Rock for one night? He may not be heel beyond WrestleMania. It may be WrestleMania and then he's back to being a babyface, right? Or even if he's not, how much more Rock on TV after WrestleMania are we going to get? Like, it's almost not even worth it for them to work on new music for him. I just wish that they would do whatever they have to do to get back the old Hollywood Rock theme. Like, if it's a rights issue, you got to pay for it. Fucking pay for it. You know, if it's a Jim Johnson thing, get Rock on the phone with Jim. Hey, Jim, what's going on, brother? I got to talk to you about something. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the holdup is with that stuff. We got Give Me Back Shots, Solomonster. Bigger fanboy. Rick with Triple H from the Evolution era, or Heyman with Roman? Heyman with Roman by far. Do you see the way that Heyman looks at Roman? All you guys out there, find yourself a woman who loves you and looks at you the way that Paul Heyman looks at Roman Reigns every week on TV. Or every week that he's around on TV. He leers at him. Heyman has this thing I've noticed, and it's not just with Roman. You know, whenever Heyman does an interview, he's on a show or something, and he does it on purpose. He will leer at the interviewer. Like, he will stare at them, and he will not take his eyes off. It's like he's trying to intentionally make them uncomfortable by just staring. But with Roman, it's different. Like, he's so great with the facial expressions. Like, he leers at him like he loves this man. I don't mean like love, like he loves this man. So you gotta go with Heyman and Roman. Brandon Vasquez, let's say Roman retains against Cody. Let's not. Buy or sell, which one would you hate hearing more again for another year? Finish the story or call Roman Reigns? Call Roman Reigns, because it's just fucking boring. You know, it's just like, do people honestly want to see another year of him talking into his phone? I mean, seriously, is this what people think is entertaining? I don't get it. Base Beer is Gable's daughter will not be avenged. It is tragic. I think you may be right. Chris Hogan, how about Tama Tonga in the bloodline with Jacob Fatu? I don't think Tama Tonga is Samoan. I love how people are just like, oh, they're tribal in some way. We'll just throw them into the bloodline. I'm pretty sure he's Tongan, is he not? Anyway, I don't think Tama Tonga in the bloodline really makes a whole lot of sense. Personally, I think Jacob Fatu does. And if they're going to keep this bloodline stuff going, I would love to see Jacob Fatu become a part of that group. Barry MK, thank you very much for the $30 Bully the Clown. Would you rather see a Falls Count Anywhere match with Liv Morgan versus Zelina Vega, a parking lot brawl with Carlito against CM Punk, or a submission match with Ric Flair against Christian? I will take the parking lot brawl with Punk and Carlito. It sounds like you're getting ready to play 2K24 or something. Golden Lovers. Do you like Netflix? Can you play that on the outro? I don't know. I'll try. I'll see. I'm not familiar with them. Bleed Boston. In my opinion, Dakota trying to align with Bayley reeks of a giant ruse. Do you think Dakota will stay loyal to Bayley, or do you think she'll rejoin Damage Control? I tend to lean towards her turning on Bayley. But it's kind of weird because right now it's 3-on-1. We know Sasha's not coming back. And so Bayley's going to need at least one friend. Who else would it be? And you can maybe make it Naomi. Maybe Naomi, backs her up in some way. She's going to need somebody. But I'm still in the camp of Dakota turning on her. I'm with you. DEH says Hollywood Rock versus politician Cody in promos. Bobby's World, Twitter, the reliable news source for no one ever. Nick Grasso. Did you see the clip of Ashley Massaro's best friend pretty much implicating Stephanie in the whole thing? It just gets worse. I did see the clip going around. That whole situation is just sick. Pillow v Pillow, have you watched any of Maven's YouTube videos? I have. I have not seen all of them, but I've seen some of them, and they're really good. They're really good. I think he was live last night. He was live, I think, talking about Vince McMahon and answering questions and stuff. Maven's coming back to the ring soon. I think it's going to be with, is it Booker T's promotion? It might be with Booker T's promotion. I think at the beginning of March. But yeah, no, I mean, Maven, he kind of came out of nowhere. He's been laying very low for a long time, and I think he's got some quality stuff up there on his channel. Assailed Teacher. When Rock said the Bloodline is a duo, did you see Jimmy's face in the background? He looked confused or angry or something. Yeah, but that's Jimmy's constant look. He always looks caught off guard or confused or angry. That's his whole gimmick. When Roman told Solo that he was going to be the future tribal chief, right? He had the same look on his face. I didn't really notice because that's just Jimmy being Jimmy. Retro KOH, the progress on this Miyu saga makes me quite happy. I hope you show it off on a stream. Well, Chris, I have you to thank, because honestly, if I had not seen your post in the Facebook group, I did not even know this thing existed. And for people who don't know what we're talking about here, it's a retro handheld device. And there's a whole bunch, there's like a whole world that I've never been exposed to, where they have these retro handheld devices where you can play old video games. And they some are smaller than others, but he posted one that he had, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I started going down the rabbit hole looking into it. And this was only a few days ago. And now I've got mine on order, and I should have it at the end of the weekend. So I have him to thank for that. And if I try to set mine up, and it drives me nuts, and it doesn't work, I'm going to blame you for that too. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I've already made a list of games I wanna make sure I put on there. All the Super Mario games, NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat, like all that stuff. WrestleFest. I'm putting WrestleFest I'm gonna find a fucking way to put WrestleFest the arcade game on there. It's the last thing I do. What I might do when I get it, I'm thinking about this, and you guys let me know. Maybe I give it to members first. Is I might do my own like review video. I was thinking about that maybe, like when I'm setting it up and everything, kind of showing it off and everything. So if that's something you might be interested in, maybe we'll do that. 187 Trap or Die with the $4.99. It shows there's levels to this. When WWE tells you what a big star is, The Rock shows you what a superstar is. Well, you know, The Rock is not just a star in wrestling. Obviously, he has transcended the wrestling business. So Rock he walks out there, and again, everybody else is, like, Rock is up here, everybody else automatically feels down here because he is such a big name. But he's also a name from a time period in the history of this company where there were so many stars that honestly, you know, they've been able to successfully, in many ways, just kind of take that popularity and success they had 25 years ago, and it's carried them. I don't want to say they haven't put, like, Triple H wrestled for many years after that. I'm not saying they didn't put the work in, but, like, riding the coattails of the Attitude Era is too simplistic a way of describing it, but they have rode that wave of popularity from that time when wrestling was just at its apex of popularity. And it's just carried them where even now, when you have an Austin that shows up or somebody like that, people know who they are. And they feel like a star on a totally different level than so many guys that are on the roster today. It's like night and day in some cases. So when Rock walks out there, yeah, you get this feeling like a real star has just walked into the room. And part of that is just the fact that also Rock was one of the biggest stars of one of the most popular periods in the history of the business. Same thing whenever Austin comes back. To this day, when that glass shatters, look at the reaction that it gets. Ali says, since 97, Rock has been obsessed with crowd approval. WrestleMania 40, that changes. He chooses the people over the bloodline, cheers or boos. Character development. I think that would make sense. Chooses good over evil. Bobby's World, Macho gave 5 to the Warrior at WrestleMania 7. Did he only give 1 to Hogan? I thought he gave more than 1, though, to Hogan at WrestleMania 5. You're right about the Warrior. He gave Warrior like 5 of them, but I was almost positive he gave more than 1 to Hogan at that WrestleMania match. Juice Giorgio, what is your favorite best work or shoot? Best work or shoot? I'm not sure I get the question. Everything is a work unless it's a shoot. So what would the best work, what would that be? I don't know. I don't really get the question. I can't give you a good answer. Base Beer is Undertaker's Sarah tattoo. Oh my God, yeah. You want to talk worst tattoos? You talk about the Sarah tattoo. I've said this before. Guys, do yourself a favor, okay? I'm sure that if you are in a relationship, you love your girlfriend, you love your wife, your boyfriend, whatever it may be, right? You love your partner, you love your significant other. You might want to get their name tattooed somewhere on your body. And hey, you know, people get mom tattooed on their arm, right? That's cool. You want to get something on your arm, on your shoulder, on the side of your rib cage, on your ankle or something, go for it. One thing I implore you not to do, learn from The Undertaker. Do not get their name tattooed across your Adam's apple. It will not end well. I don't want to know what he went through getting that shit lasered off. I don't know why he chose that area for that tattoo. That will forever be a mystery to me. I should have asked that question when I was at his one-man show, but I didn't pay $500, so I didn't get to ask a question. I guess I wasn't one of the VIPs. See, I had like a very geeky, nerdy inside baseball question for him. If they had the event, if it was more accessible where more people could ask questions to him at the end, what I had wanted to ask him was, he has talked about becoming the American Badass and wanting to evolve and change and all that. You know, he became the American Badass in May of 2000, right? That's when he came back at Judgment Day. He was supposed to come back in January of that year, maybe at the Royal Rumble. He got hurt. He was already recovering from an injury. He tore his pec in training at the gym. And so that delayed his return from January until May. And I think that's why we got Kane when Kane showed up on Raw with Paul Bear. I think that was going to be The Undertaker. My question to him would have been, was the American Badass always the plan? Like, if you would have come back early in January, would you have come back as the American Badass, or would you have come back as the Dead Man? Like, did that idea only first come to you from January to May? Because, I mean, that would have changed everything if you would have just come back as the Dead Man. I was just curious because he's never asked that question, been asked that question by anybody. So that was what I was going to ask him. I'm just curious. Nothing earth-shattering. DEH says NXT television matches are produced way better than the main roster. Most main roster matches just all look the same, and they're produced the same aside from the finish. I agree. There is a sameness to a lot of it. Irenzo, do you think with Vince gone now, Braun would get his Steiner name back at some point? I don't. I think he's been Braun Breaker for so long now. They've created something that, you know, is theirs to trademark and is his to own. There's no point at this point in changing his name. It's baked in at this point. He's been Braun Breaker for so long. It'd be like Dolph Ziggler 5 years in. Let's make him Nick Nemeth. It's like, that's just not going to happen, you know? We've got Chris AXC. I've been a SmackDown guy since the 2002 brand split. And for the last few years, the blue team has been the better show. What do you think is the A show in WWE? Raw has improved over the absolute fucking bore fest that it used to be, and frankly, Raw is still boring on some weeks. It's not a home run every week by any means. There are weeks where you feel every bit of that 3 hours if you sit there. And it used to be more tolerable for me because I would never watch Raw completely on Mondays. You know, me doing the live reviews after Raw makes all the sense in the world, but I didn't start doing that until Vince left the first time. And I said, okay, fresh start. We're going to go live on Mondays. We'll see how this goes. And then they locked me in, and then the fucker came back, and I was locked in. Thankfully, he's gone now, but one of the reasons I didn't do it for so long and I resisted, and people were very kind enough to wait until the Sunday podcast almost a week later to hear my thoughts about Raw, is just because it's just impossible for me to sit here for 3 hours and tolerate that fucking show. I mean, when Raw was at its worst, the only way I could stomach it was to watch it in bits and pieces. Sometimes I wouldn't finish Raw until Thursday or Friday. You know, especially if it was a really busy week. It's like, you know what, I'll get to it when I get to it, but it's just, some of the shows were so bad. It's not that bad anymore. But there are weeks where SmackDown is better than Raw, and there are weeks where Raw is better than SmackDown. I think at this exact moment, I don't know that either one can claim the crown of A show. I don't think I can call one or the other the A show at this moment because they kind of go back and forth. It's the best answer I could give you. 187 is back again. He says, knowing it won't happen, but wouldn't it have made more sense for Brock to team with Cody? Would it make sense? Yeah, but like you said, there's a reason why that's not happening. And that's all there is to say about that. The Real C asks, what is the heat between WWE and Jim Johnston? It's Johnston, by the way, not Johnson. I don't know that there's heat. There were always murmurs that he was difficult to work with, and again, how much of that was bullshit and them just talking shit about him on the way out, I don't know. I mean, that's happened before. I don't know. I mean, I wonder if it was more a case of maybe they just felt like they didn't need him anymore. Maybe whatever they paid him, maybe they didn't want to pay him that kind of money anymore. You know, he was kind of a holdover from a bygone era. And sometimes when that happens, you know, you have been there long enough. Maybe if you're being paid a certain amount of money, they don't want to pay you anymore. We never really got clarity on exactly why there was that split, or if there was heat, where it was coming from. I think that a lot of the iconic moments that we remember from the Attitude Era, from the New Generation era, from the 2000s. So much of that is owed to Jim Johnston. That theme music is iconic in so many cases. And, you know, he's someone who should absolutely be in the WWE Hall of Fame. And I hope one day he gets to be in the Hall of Fame. And he gets the recognition that he deserves. You and I may know who he is. We know of him. The wider WWE audience, I mean, today they wouldn't because they don't even use his music anymore. But so many fans out there probably have no idea who the guy is. He never showed up on television. He never did an angle. He never took a bump. He was a behind-the-scenes guy. And he deserves his flowers at some point because he played such an important role for so many years in that company. And I think the way that they just sort of cast him aside is just fucking bullshit. It really is. How unceremoniously his run there came to an end for someone so important, I think is ridiculous. So I hope at some point they can reconcile or at least come to their senses and give the man the recognition that he deserves. Trey Johnson, what happened with Jim Johnston in WWE? Wow, back-to-back questions. That's kind of eerie. Well, hopefully I just answered your question. Jameel the King, what story should they tell with Roman after WrestleMania? I think Roman loses everything. I think Roman loses everything and basically gets kicked out of the bloodline. And, you know, it would depend on how long they want to keep him off television for. I think Roman probably goes away for a while. You know, maybe until SummerSlam. You know, maybe he takes a long sabbatical. That's one way of telling the story that I would like. If Rock is not going to be a heel beyond WrestleMania, then Roman would stay heel. And then it would just be a case of building up the story a little bit differently where, you know, you'd almost have to do Rock and Roman at SummerSlam. I just don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. I feel like Roman at the end of all this becomes the ultimate babyface. And I feel like that's the right way to go. Because if Rock just goes back to being a baby and they do the match and Rock wins, which I think would be terrible. I think that would be the absolute wrong thing to do. And for God's sakes, I mean, if he's not willing to put his own fucking flesh and blood over, he's not willing to put his own family over, right? That's kind of pathetic. But I think you want to get Roman over as a big babyface when this is all said and done. So keeping Rock heel for a while longer beyond WrestleMania is something I would do. I don't know that he would do. That's the question. How long is he willing to stay committed to this heel role? Cameron Spencer. You know, the thing is, on that whole Rock being a heel, or maybe he doesn't want to be a heel for too long because he has things to promote, they have pulled the curtain so much back on things in wrestling now, and Rock himself has. Rock's going around doing interviews talking about kayfabe and how I'm playing this character and that character. The curtain has been pulled back so much, I almost don't even think it matters at this point. Like, if Rock is going to be on WWE television calling people names and insulting them, and you're inbred and you're this and you're that, like, to me, in my mind, that has no effect whatsoever on his ability to go out there and promote a movie that he's in. Right? Because, again, they go out there now and openly acknowledge the fact that this is all a show and I'm not really a bad guy. I only play one on TV. Like, kayfabe is dead. In a past era where maybe there was still some life left to it, I could maybe see that. But today, it's almost goofy to think like, oh, I don't want to be a heel because I have all these other things to promote. So what? You know what? Like, does it really make a difference in today's day and age? I don't think it does. Golden Lovers, the song playing right now is by Nefix, LOL. Well, that's why I was kind of tongue-in-cheek, yes. I know. Well, there's multiple songs, actually, during the Super Chats. There's like 4 of them in the rotation, but that is one of them. I was being facetious. Cameron Spencer, people have been calling me weird because I enjoy melting bugs with magnifying glasses. Oh, and Madam Web sucks. Yeah, I've been hearing that. I've been hearing that Madam Web movie is a pile of hot, steaming garbage. I don't even know what it's about. I have less than zero interest in seeing it, so I won't be wasting my time with it. Apparently, neither should you. Zachariah Sitch, you want to see The Rock? There he is. Solo Rock. That's how you wear a $500 shirt right there. It's kind of freaky. Zachariah says, everyone's seeing Hollywood Rock. I'm seeing Leader of the Nation of Domination Rocky more than Hollywood Rock, or is that just me? No, you're definitely onto something there. Some of the insults, it did remind me more of 98 Rock, but you see him walk out there with, you know, the chain around his neck and the vest and everything and acting like he's better than everybody else. And I don't know, you think Hollywood Rock, but you're right. The vibes probably more were 98 like corporate rock than Hollywood Rock. Richie. It's weird because it's the same person, but in a way it almost felt like he was out there cosplaying as 98 Rock. As opposed to him really kind of getting into it and believing it, it was like he's out there now playing the part of 98 Rock is 2024 Rock. Richie says, do you think Trish slept with Vince behind the scenes because of the Frenchie? I have no idea who Vince slept with, and I don't even want to think about that. Because I'm sure it happened. I'm sure it happened multiple times. With who? I won't even speculate. Mikey Clayman, who is on the Samoan Mount Rushmore? I don't even think that mountain is big enough to have all of them. The Samoan Mount Rushmore. Rock is on there. Roman has to be on there with the success that he's had. Yoko's on there for sure. Rock, Roman, Yoko, and then who's number 4? Who's number 4? I don't know. I don't know who number 4 is. I'll let you guys fill in number 4. Base beer is buy or sell, Get Out or Misery as far as horror films. Misery. Misery is a classic. I like them both, but Misery. Foxstar Killer, first time. When he returned for the invasion in 2001. Second time. When he returned in 2011 to host WrestleMania 27. You asking me a question? Foxstar Killer, you're killing me here. Well, I'll answer it even if you're not asking the question, but if you're asking me which I enjoyed more, it was when he returned for the invasion in 2001. Insecure Skeletor. Insecure Skeletor. I smell a new show idea. Insecure Skeletor. Did you see Rock point to Roman while the camera switches to them when he mentions, I'll do everything in my power that you walk out of Mania a loser? No, I didn't notice it, but he very specifically, though, said Cody's name before he said that. So you may be reading a little too much into it, but I did not pick up on that. I'll have to go back and watch it again. I do love the name, though. I was a big Skeletor guy. You know what they had that was really funny on the old Robot Chicken episodes? They had some like He-Man and Skeletor sketches. Those were hilarious. I don't even know if Robot Chicken is still around. I used to watch that all the time. Zachariah Sitchin, what the fuck is up with Meltzer? I'm glad when I was discovering wrestling media talking heads, I discovered the Solomonster before Meltzer. You keep it real, and that's why I have been a Sound Off listener since 2014. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate the support. Very much. I don't know what's going on with Dave. I've seen his dog, though, in some of the video clips on the on the Observer channel. His dog is cute. Maybe his dog is writing the Observer. Dog Meltzer. This journey called life with the $4.99. We are all on this journey called life, are we not? Do you think CM Punk getting hurt changed the entire road to WrestleMania? They went with Plan B with The Rock due to panic, which backfired, making this mess. CM Punk's injury fucked a lot of things up. Did it mess up the stuff that we're seeing now with Rock and Cody and them? No, I don't think that that would have really changed the mess that they're in now, because it's two separate things. It would have been Rollins and Punk for the World Heavyweight title. You would have still had Cody winning the Rumble, and then you would have had him stepping aside for The Rock. So it messed up some things for sure, but no, you can't put all this on CM Punk's injury. I would not be blaming CM Punk for that. I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying some people might say, oh, Punk, the injury blew everything up. I don't want to make excuses for the dumb decisions they made when it comes to this storyline. I just think what they did was incredibly stupid, and now they're playing cleanup, and this is what we get, and they could turn it into something good. They could turn it into gold, but always remember, we didn't have to be here right now. You know what I mean? Like, they could have come up with another interesting way to tell the story of Cody and Roman going into WrestleMania without doing what they're doing now. This was all a product of Dwayne getting involved, wanting to get his match this year, and when the reaction wasn't what they were expecting, that's when things turned into a big mess. And that's why we are where we are. Grant, I agree with Grant. Shout out to Dog Meltzer. Yuri, Rock forgot how the Rumble stipulation works. It's been a while since he's won the Rumble. Mr. Ozone, wasn't Undertaker as the American Badass when he refused to face Triple H in a casket match on SmackDown? And Triple H had to face Mideon and Viscera. This is before Judgment Day in 2000. He wasn't officially the American Badass. He was starting to wear like the bandana and the jeans and stuff, but he wasn't officially the American Badass. But you're right. I mean, he was already showing signs of it the year before. He was showing signs of it even in 98. There was one Raw. I think maybe he lost his luggage or something. And he came out on Raw one night. He was cutting a work shoot promo, just like in the summer of 98. And he just came out like in it might have been sweatpants and a sweatshirt or something. It was like the weirdest thing. I'll bet that he lost his luggage. That's why he showed up that way. J714 is going to be very upset when Cody wins the title at WrestleMania. So everybody has to go easy on Jay. He's going to have a very rough week when Roman loses at WrestleMania and Cody finishes his story. He's going to be very upset. We'll all be here, Jay. We'll all be here to support you. Don't worry. We're like a little family here. Even though you're like the black sheep of the family, we're not going to cast you aside. We're going to welcome you in. We're going to show you the love that you deserve. We're here for you. Hoffenheim, The Rock can cut promos. Respect to him. Damn. Yuri with the $5 super chat. Rock became the biggest star in Hollywood. Wasn't only wrestling fans who supported him as an actor. Most probably don't even know or care what he is doing right now. Arabian Night 2000 says, could this entertaining heel Rock persona act get fans to cheer him more and Cody less? Wrestling is weird like that. I hope that's not the case. Well, you saw an example of it tonight, in Salt Lake City. It's possible. I mean, there's always a possibility. Wrestling fans are very fickle like that. I think Cody's base of support, though, is strong enough that you might have a reaction in some cities like that, but I don't think it's going to blow up the whole road to WrestleMania. Foxstar Killer, that was a continuation of my membership milestone super chat, expressing annoyance over Rock's WWF of the Music Volume 4 theme song getting ditched twice. I see. Actually, you want to know what I think is an underrated Rock theme? One of my favorites of his? Volume 3. I like Volume 3 way more than Volume 4. And whatever that Pie song was from Volume 5. We don't have to go into that. Mystic J44, though it sucks that she's injured, do you think the women's division has gotten a little bit better with Charlotte not around? I wouldn't say that. To say that, it makes it sound like it's Charlotte that was holding the entire division back. You can't lay that all on Charlotte. You got to lay that on the booking. But I think without her around, they have a surplus of talent. It's just a matter of booking them in interesting stories. They don't need Charlotte right now. It's not like the entire women's division is falling apart without Charlotte Flair. I wouldn't lay that all at her feet. But Mystic J, thank you. We got Thomas is coming in here. Thomas coming in says, love you, Solomonster. Dealing with a difficult period with my girlfriend, and it has been hard. I felt like giving up, but your stream keeps me going. Well, you keep going, my friend. I don't know what's going on with you and your girlfriend. That is Thomas's first super chat. He's a channel member as well, so let's show Thomas some love. Whatever it is, this too shall pass. It will get better. But if the streams help take your mind off things, I love hearing that. Any way we can help here. And, you know, I haven't even bothered to check where we are on the likes. 500 was the goal, and we are currently sitting at almost 700. Guys, we are 4 likes away from 700. You got to get me to 700. I know you guys can do it. DEH says The Rock pointed at Roman when he wasn't looking when he said, I'll make sure you walk out of WrestleMania a loser. I love the little details. I'm going to have to go back and watch and see. I'll go back and take a look at where he was pointing when he said that. I know he specifically mentioned Cody's name, but it's possible that after that he pointed at Roman. I'll go back and take a look. This journey called life, where does LA Knight fit in this stacked roster? I think LA Knight is going to settle right at U.S. title level, which is why I keep talking about him and Logan Paul at WrestleMania. I think that's the match to do. Do you read anything into the different hand sign that Rock did after the promo? Yeah, it was almost, was it like an L? I think it was like an L, like an L that he was holding up. Yeah, when the show is going off the air and, you know, someone's making a hand gesture and I'm trying to get everything together here and wrap these notes up so I can go live and talk to you crazy people, I may miss a hand signal or two. So that's why you got the podcast on Sunday. So if I missed anything, I'll address it on the podcast. But it did look like he was maybe holding up like an L, you know. But again, he was talking about Cody. So I just assumed that he was referring to Cody when he did it. But yeah, it looked like an L. All right, we're at 7:30 now. So you guys gave me that little extra boost that I needed. So now I'm going to give you guys a boost. I'm going to boost you right into Be the Booker. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
I told you though, look, I mean, if that's what happened here, if Rock was leaving a little Easter egg in this promo by pointing at Roman when he said, I'll do everything in my power to make sure you're a loser, and he's putting up an L for loser. It's like I said earlier, the impression I was left with when the show went off the air is that Rock is going to end up assisting Cody in some way in winning the championship. You may be right. Maybe there is more to it, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Rock is just setting him up. Then he'll be back to being a babyface. Then he can give Cody the big endorsement. He can get some of that babyface love to rub back off on him at the end of WrestleMania. All right, let's kick things off here with the tag teams. The only place that you can find this Be the Booker machine that I have created right here on this channel. And you never know who you're going to land on. For example, you could end up here with the two guys in the gold costumes who look like a couple of dicks walking down to the ring. Los Conquistadors. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that is Edge and Christian under there, if I'm remembering correctly, but Los Conquistadors, uno and dos, will be taking on the Golden Lovers of Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. That is technically Edge and Christian. against Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega. And how can I give that the buzzer? Come on now. You didn't think I was going to give that the buzzer now, did you? By the way, I didn't even mention this. We had a clean sweep on Monday. We had a clean sweep on Wednesday. All bells. If we get a clean sweep tonight, I believe that may be the first time that we've ever gotten clean sweeps on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we can make Be the Booker history tonight. This could be a historic night here on the stream. I'm a little worried about this, though. The women's match has a tendency to just completely fuck things up. So I'm a little bit worried about this. Well, let's see where this goes. We begin. We begin with Marina Shafir. I don't like where this is going. Oh, man. Oh, man. Did I jinx it? Oh, man. Marina Shafir, one-on-one with Jazz. No. We were so close. We were so close. Why did I say that? Why did I say anything? Why do I always jinx it? It's like I'd be the announcer if I was calling a World Series game and the pitcher is going into the 9th inning and he's got a perfect game going. I'm the guy that would be like, hey, he's only 2 outs away from a perfect game. And then he gives up a grand slam. That would be me. They'd run me out of town so fast. The problem messed up everything. Yes, she did. Terrible. Well, we got Vader here. It's Vader time. Big Van Vader. It's one half of our main event. And now let's find out who Vader is going to be stepping into the ring with to do battle against, shall we? Vader. One-on-one. With Brock Lesnar. You know, I have gotten questions before for the mailbag asking me what would be like a dream match of a current guy and a past guy, and I've always said Vader and Brock, like Prime Brock and Prime Vader, would be a fucking amazing match. And it was the women's match that screwed everything up. You see? We were this close from the first ever triple threat clean sweep here on Be the Booker. It's a hell of a main event, though. That is a hell of... You talk about the battle of the giants. Battle of the big men right there, the big beasts. Brock Lesnar. Let's say Brock Lesnar... What was this? This was 2014 in this photo, right? Brock Lesnar 2014 against Vader from, let's say, 92. When he was doing battle with Sting. 92 Vader against 2014 Brock. How's that sound? How's that for a match? Redo the women. It doesn't work that way. You can't just make up the rules as you go along. It doesn't work that way. I need to be convinced it doesn't work that way. Juan Ocampo with the $4.99. We got a couple more super chats here. Thoughts on Brian Gewirtz? We knew Vince McMahon was running the show. Was he one of the better writers that he had? Ellie, my cat always paws you when streaming. Oh, it's because your cat has good taste. I wish I could say the same for Issa. Here she is. Here she is. I knew she'd be here at some point. When Roman is around, so will Issa be. There you go. Put the thumbs in the air for NYC Demon Diva. You know, Issa, you should be very upset because The Rock was stealing your man's thunder there in that main event. He was a complete afterthought. He was standing off to the side. You would think that you would be very upset about that. I know Issa is hoping that Cody will not finish the story at WrestleMania. I have a feeling she's in for a lot of heartbreak. It's okay. It's all right. Daniel Malcolm, how dare you give the buzzer to the Black Queen like Jazz during I didn't give the buzzer because of Jazz. I'll just leave it at that. And Jazz, all due respect to Jazz, I don't think Jazz was going to be the one to save that match. So yes, it got the buzzer that it deserved. And Daniel says, just kidding, Jazz against Marina sounds like an almighty disaster. Okay, good. I was a little worried about you there for a second. You redeemed yourself. Issa says, Roman is sitting back watching everyone fight over who loses to him at WrestleMania. Life is good for Roman fans. Life's been good for Roman fans for 3.5 years. It's time for it to be good for someone else. You got to spread some of that love around, though. Oh, man. The Juliet says, High Chief Peter Maivia at number 4 on the Samoan Mount Rushmore. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I can't tell you I've ever seen a single match that he's ever had, so I can't comment on his in-ring ability. He was a big name, though. You can put him on there. Just wondering, is there an emoji after Roman loses at WrestleMania, if Issa pops in? You know, instead of the finger up, if there's one with the finger pointing down, we'll have to have everybody with those emojis going like this in the chat. Just to rub some salt in the wound. You know what? Either way, WrestleMania weekend, there's going to be a lot of salty people. It doesn't matter which way it goes. The salt will be flowing. And I'll be here both nights of WrestleMania to talk about it. Base Beerus.
Hi, Chief Peter Maivia.
Name out your fucking mouth!
Speaking of the High Chief. Base Beerus with the $28 keep the High Chief's name out your fucking mouth super chat. Some great themes. Oh, he's talking about theme songs now. Big Boss Man. Oh, his Babyface theme was a banger, yeah. Test. Test was good. Brawl for All. Muhammad Hassan. DX. Gregory Helms. I thought that said I thought that said Riho. It says Rhino. Oh my God, I gotta get my eyes checked. I thought that said Riho. It says Rhino. Oh, there is an emoji with, okay, yeah, all right. Get him ready. The fingers pointing down. Get him ready for WrestleMania weekend. Fuck, I thought that said Riho. Okay, so Rhino. Rhino, I don't remember Rhino's name. I honestly don't remember. Snitsky. And he says, biscuits and gravy. Vader versus Brock. Holy smokes. Guevara is the Hardy Slayer. Yeah, you know, the Hardys better stay the hell away from Sammy Guevara. Every time they get together, something bad happens. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, most of those themes you named are quality themes. Hassan's theme was always very catchy to me. I always liked Muhammad Hassan's theme. This is the beat and everything. I loved it. I loved it. Riho's Rejoice. It's called the Riho Regime. It has a lot of members. Do I agree with a lot of people that say Jimmy Uso rejoining the Bloodline made no sense? It doesn't. I mean, to me, after everything we sat through, unless you just go with the idea that his personality trait is that he just wants to be the tribal chief. And so he went crawling back to Roman thinking he would be the leader. And, you know, he's never going to be the leader. I mean, I guess you could argue it in that way, but I don't know. After everything we saw with the Usos last year, for him to just go crawling back and cost his brother and everything else, it's just like, you know, that's when it jumped the shark. Near says that shirt didn't cost $5,000. It was a vest. Not a shirt. It was a vest. It was Versace. Jimmy rejoining the Bloodline was ridiculous. Jimmy was the first one to turn. Well, you know, when you want to keep a story going, when it's past its shelf life in some ways, you try to come up with some other ridiculous ways to keep it going. That's one of the ideas they came up with. Daniel Malcolm, Mount Rushmore of your Sound Off supporters. I can't do that. That would be, I don't want to leave people out. There's a lot of very good supporters on YouTube and for the main podcast and just people that have been listening to me since 2007. I can't leave those people out. My Mount Rushmore has everybody on it, not just 4 spots. Paul Carpenter, why does The Rock look like he ate The Rock in 98? He does kind of look like he ate The Rock from 98. He's quite a bit bigger than The Rock was back then. You want to see The Rock? This is a weird thing. Go look at The Rock when he came back in 2004. Like, he looked like he was so skinny. Compare The Rock in 04, 20 years, okay? 20 years ago to The Rock of today. It's like 2 different people. It's unbelievable. Yeah, Jake the Snake's themes were awesome. The heel theme, the Trust Me theme, is one of the better themes from the golden era. Cameron Spencer, Rollins' Messiah theme was better than his current. Gangrel, oh, yeah, The Brood, of course. That was Volume 3. Volume 3 is one of my favorite WWE CDs. There's a lot of good shit on there. Kane's original theme is on there. There's a lot of good stuff on there. Volume 4, I'm trying to think, other than that Rock theme, Volume 4 had Test. Oh, God, I don't remember. I remember what a big deal it was when Full Metal came out in 96. It had Razor and Diesel and Goldust, and Brett, Thorn in Your Eye. We're all together now. And it was tough to find copies of it back when you had to go to the store to actually buy the CD. I know, I'm dating myself. That used to be a big deal, going back to the mid-90s, having to go out and find your copy of the CD you were looking for. There was a Jericho theme, by the way. It was like a remix version of his theme. I don't know who sang it. It was awful. I hated that. And King of My World, too. I was never a fan of King of My World. And I think that was what he was using in the lead up to WrestleMania 18. I never really liked that. There was a Steve Austin remix that was pretty good, though, by a band called H-Blocks. Should go look that one up. That one wasn't bad. Bought Full Metal on the day it came out. I still have my copy. Oh, yeah, King of My World was Saliva. Yeah. No, I didn't like it. Aggression. Yeah, the Aggression CD had some... is that the one where Kurt Angle sang? He sang a song on there, and Stacy Keibler... Disturbed's Stone Cold theme is the best theme he ever had. You know, I love that theme. It's tough to argue. It's tough to argue. I mean, You got the iconic Johnston theme from Volume 3, you know, that he still uses when he comes back. It's hard to top that one. The Disturbed theme, though, is awesome. The Disturbed theme is really, really good. It may be his best. He didn't use it for nearly long enough. And we'll end with Luis. He's got a message coming in here. And Fox. Luis says, Rock, shut up. Oh, he's Luis getting overly emotional here. He says, Rock, shut up. As if we are privileged fans in order to pay our... I think he meant hard-earned money to go see you being a heel, but for whatever reason in his super chat, it says HELARD. Pay our Hellard-earned money? I think he just created a new word. Luis is no fan of The Rock. Foxstar Killer. Volume 4 had Mankind's Wreck theme and Triple H's My Time. Also, The Corporation's No Chance in Hell. That Austin song by H Blocks 2. Okay, so that was Volume 4. Volume 4 is pretty good too. My Time, by the way, I think is still Triple H's best theme. Richie. Mount Rushmore of horror icons. Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Ghostface, and who do we put in number 4? I was never really a Freddy Krueger guy or a Pinhead guy. I'll go Chucky. I think I'll go Chucky. I think we'll do Michael, Jason, Ghostface, and Chucky. There you go. The Dada and Boys podcast. Just finished SmackDown. Why is The Rock dressed like Ricky Starks? It's a good question. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. I guess he was, except Ricky's got hair. Rock has no hair. That's why I didn't see the Ricky thing right away. The hair thing threw me off. But yeah, Triple H My Time is still the best theme he ever had. And there were 2 different versions of My Time, by the way. The version of My Time that's on Volume 4 is not the better of the 2. There's another version of it that's a little bit different. That one is better. I don't believe that's the one that was on Volume 4. Deputy Dog says, I was always a Jason fan. Well, it's a great name, first of all. Yeah, I was always a Friday the 13th fan, too, until I finally saw Halloween. I didn't see Halloween until pretty late. And once I saw it, I was like, this is it right here. This is my shit now. This is my jam. Jason moved to number 2. Michael moved to number 1. But just, you know, Freddy, I saw maybe 2 or 3 of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And, you know, they're fine. I don't know. I was never a Freddy guy. Jason versus Freddy, though, is a lot of fun. I saw that in the theater, and that was the first movie I ever saw in the movie theater where when it was over and the credits rolled, that last shot of the final scene, if you saw it, you know, it got a standing ovation. Everybody in the theater gave it a standing ovation. There are just some movies like that that are more fun to see in a theater filled with people. And the one movie I wish I had seen in the theater and I didn't, I saw it at home, was the first Saw movie. And I wish I would have been in the theater when the big revelation came in that last scene with the music playing in the background. I can only imagine what the reaction would have been in a theater from people who didn't see that coming. That would have been cool to be a part of. Daniel Malcolm, Mount Rushmore fellow steamers. It's like a Cleveland steamer. Again, I don't want to leave people out. And I don't watch enough streams, I think, to even give you an honest answer to that. I kind of focus on my own stuff. But there's a lot of good people out there who also do do this in the community here. I don't want to leave anybody out. In fact, I'm going to be recording something fun in the next few weeks with one of them, so keep an eye out for that. No spoilers. All right, this has been fun. Always fun hanging out with you guys. I thought this would be a more eventful edition of SmackDown. It was eventful in that we finally filled in some more of the gaps in the chamber matches. So I can't say it wasn't newsworthy, but I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more out of that last segment. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what the next one brings. I will be here with you, though, on Monday night. So if something goes down there, we'll talk about that. That'll be after Raw this coming Monday. Next weekend is Elimination Chamber. What I may end up doing, I may put a poll to you guys and see what you would prefer. What I'm thinking, because it's rough, because Elimination Chamber is a 5 a.m. Eastern start, and I'm not all that enamored with doing a SmackDown stream next Friday and then sleeping for 2 hours and waking up at 5 to watch the pay-per-view. What I'm thinking is, I don't know what kind of audience there would be at 8:30 in the morning for a live stream if I go live right away when Elimination Chamber is over. So would you prefer if I maybe waited until noon, let's say? Like, I'm not going to review it that night, but maybe a noontime Elimination Chamber review next Saturday instead of doing it right after the pay-per-view ends, which would be probably 5 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. I don't know how many of you will be up at that time. I feel like there'll be a bigger audience if I wait a few hours, so give that some thought. I'll let you guys know next week what I decide to do. But I'm just thinking it might make more sense to just wait a few hours, actually have some breakfast first, and then go live, maybe around noon. 12 p.m.? Okay, it seems like you guys are on board with that idea. So let's operate tentatively under that assumption that maybe we'll do a noon live stream next weekend. Sometime around lunchtime. How about that? I like that. I think that's a lot easier. More people will be up at that hour, so it'll be good. Luis coming in with one more super chat here. Will I be live tweeting it? It depends if I wake up at 5. I don't know. I may wake up and watch it on a delay by 2 hours. I don't know. Depends how late I go to bed on Friday night next week. If I'm up watching the show live, yeah, I'll tweet about it. Luis says, the Winged Dragon of Ra, oh boy, has more talent than the People's Elbow. The Rock is a heel, talks too much trash. Screw the Bloodline. Well, that's kind of his job, you know? It's his job to go out there and talk shit to people. He's a heel. And Daniel Malcolm, thank you for the $1.99. No comment. No comment. I can't say who's at the bottom and who's at the top. Gonna have to let you guys figure it out. Yeah, well, Luis is always coming in with the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. I don't think I've watched a single Yu-Gi-Oh episode my entire life. If Yu-Gi-Oh stood in front of me, I couldn't tell you who he is. I don't even know who he is. I don't have a clue. Name another Bret Hart is begging Luis to name another Yu-Gi-Oh card other than that one. That's the only one he ever mentions. I think that might be the only one he knows. That's why he mentions it. Mount Rushmore of superheroes. Mount Rushmore of superheroes. Well, Batman's got to be first. I was always more of a Batman guy than a Superman guy. So you got to go Batman. Spider-Man, it's got to be on there. What superheroes? What other superheroes would I have on there? Batman, Spider-Man. Maybe Wolverine. And I don't know. That's kind of hard. You know what I was always a fan of? He doesn't get enough love, I don't think. Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer. Maybe we'll do Batman, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Silver Surfer. I like that. That works for me. Hey, Clone Force, have fun. He's going to be at Raw Monday with his cousin. Where are you sitting? Sitting on the hard camera side? Bring that sound off sign. And Trey Johnson, I'm getting the last super chat out of Canada. Shout out Canada, he says. Oh, he's shouting out Canada. There you go. Well, Trey, it looks like you got it. So there you go. You get the last word. We could have a superhero. Look, we're having a whole superhero discussion in the chat now. Oh, you got beat, Trey. Oh, boy. Andre Israel with the $2. The Superman disrespect is wild. What can I say? You know, I'm not a Superman guy. Superman got his back broken anyway by Doomsday. Fuck that guy. Fucking loser. Batman all day long. That's where it is. All right, be well, stay safe, have yourselves a great weekend. Make sure you check out episode 849 of the podcast on Sunday. You guys got me into the top 10 for the second week in a row. All wrestling podcasts all over the country on Apple Podcasts. So let's try to do it again this weekend. That'll be 849 on Sunday. Until then, take care, guys.